Chapter 244. The Floating Mist Sex Jr. Elder, Bai Yunfei had once used a single finger to block the level 6 Elder, Lai Zhang Tian's full power attack. Although people didn't know if he used his beasts or his inherent skill, everyone knew one thing, and that was that it couldn't be replicated. If it was Bai Yunfei, he might not be able to do it again. This was because even a level 8 Emperor wouldn't dare to use a single finger to block the full power attack of a level 6 Elder. It was precisely because he had blocked the attack with a single finger that Bai Yunfei had gained a lot of reputation. It had also allowed him to become the strongest young hero in the Soaring Dragon continent. It was only until he was defeated by Yu Yang that he fell to second place. Even so, people still didn't think that Bai Yunfei, who had the Gold Dragon King beast, was weaker than the 3 great killing stars. He was just far from that abnormal Titan. Right now, Student Titan also wanted to use a single finger to block the Prince of Zijin's Desert Storm. First move? Was this really possible? Others didn't know, but the Floating Mist Sex disciples knew that it was definitely impossible. Bai Yunfei did not rely on the Gold Dragon King beast or other beasts to block Lai Zhang Tian's full power attack. He also didn't rely on his inherent skill. He relied on treasures. The Floating Mist Sex disciples were sure that this damned Yu clan's third young master who had changed his name to Titan didn't have Bai Yunfei's life-saving Golden Dragon Pearl. That was a treasure that the Floating Mist Sex previous sect leader, who was also Bai Yunfei's grandfather, had given to his grandson. With this Golden Dragon Pearl, Bai Yunfei could easily block a fatal attack that was 10 times weaker than his own. Of course, it couldn't be effective forever. The Golden Dragon Pearl could only be used 3 times. After 3 times, it would shatter and turn into fine powder. The power of Lai Zhang Tian's fatal attack was too terrifying. Even though Bai Shaoyan had the Gold Dragon King beast, he didn't dare to block it head-on. He chose to use the Golden Dragon Pearl to protect himself. In the end, in the eyes of the spectators, it became a peerless move of blocking the enemy with a single finger. Of course, the disciples of the Floating Mist School knew about this, but they didn't want to tell anyone about it. Instead, they wanted to help Bai Yunfei spread the news in secret. Now, this Yu clan's third young master who had mercilessly defeated their young sect leader actually had the guts to block the attack with a single finger. The Floating Mist Sex disciples were both angry and happy at the same time. They were angry because this brat was too arrogant. He actually used his finger to block the attack without the protection of the Golden Dragon Pearl. They were happy because they could soon see this brat's bad luck. Although this brat wasn't defeated by their young sect leader, he was still defeated. It was good to teach him a lesson. When their junior sect leader recovered and defeated the Prince of Zijin in the round-robin tournament, it might not be impossible for them to recover from their previous loss. Not only the disciples of the Floating Mist sect, but the disciples of the Western Lion Pagoda and the Grey Wolf Academy were also excited. Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the others clenched their fists tightly. They had enough confidence in Yu Yang. Of course, it was inevitable that they would be nervous. City Mistress Fallen Flowers bit her lips tightly. She was very angry in her heart. If this brat Yu Yang was in front of her, she would definitely use her fist to beat him up. He actually dared to be so daring. What if he got hurt? Princess Sisai sighed as if she had a headache. This brat is hopeless. I thought he was very low-key, but who would have known that he was a big spender? Seeing this, the Prince of Zijin was ecstatic. Even in his dreams, he couldn't hope that Yu Yang would underestimate him. Using a single finger to block the attack was equivalent to seeking his own death. At that moment, he didn't reduce the strength in his hands. Instead, he increased it with all his might, wholeheartedly trying to kill Yu Yang with his scimitar. Even if he couldn't kill him with one slash, he would at least injure him severely. This was a heaven-sent opportunity that he couldn't miss. If the Prince of Zijin had known that Yu Yang knew how to block the attack with a single finger, he would have used the strongest move of the Desert Storm 8 scimitar, Whirlwind Scatter Clouds, or Total Darkness. A rumbling sound. The deafening sound was deafening. Yu Yang, who was using a single finger to block the attack, was sent flying a few steps back. The purple flames on his body splashed all around him. However, The tragedy that everyone thought would happen after his finger was cut off didn't happen. Yu Yang was only sent flying. The Prince of Zijin felt that it was a pity. The first move, Rising Wind Cloud Surge, was just a test, so he wasn't able to unleash its full power. The opponent managed to condense an odd-shaped fire shield in time, blocking the blade. Now, when he saw that Yu Yang was forced to retreat by his single move, and that he was just a step away from heavily injuring his opponent, the golden scimitar continued to attack. The second move, the third move, the fourth move, the golden scimitar was accompanied by the howling wind in the desert. Together with the scorching hot sand, it attacked Yu Yang like a prehistoric monster, one wave stronger than the other. Most of the audience couldn't see the changes in the situation clearly. They could only vaguely see the arrogant student titan being forced to retreat step by the Prince of Zijin. That brave Prince of Zijin attacked continuously, as if the student titan who had lost his momentum couldn't retaliate at all. He won. The Western Lion Pagoda disciples and the Grey Wolf Academy students cheered for the Prince of Zijin. Oh no, the enemy's combo attack is endless. The Ivy Academy students were extremely anxious. They were all hidden elites, geniuses who could hold their own in a certain area. Of course, they knew the terrifying power of a combo attack. The Prince of Zijin might have been pleased with himself too early. People like Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun were able to see the situation more clearly. He has already lost after missing his first move. Now he's greedy and rash, using 7 moves in a row in order to win. This Prince of Zijin really thinks that fellow is made of mud. Bai Yunfei, who was secretly watching the match through a small crack in the window of the private box. Although his face was pale, his eyes were still filled with ridicule. After being defeated by Yu Yang, he hated this Yu clan's third young master very much. However, he couldn't help but admire his opponent's abnormal strength. Junior, sect leader, it's not that the Prince of Zijin doesn't want to stop. It's just that he can't stop. The mysterious man who had been following Bai Yunfei spoke slowly. Is that so? If that's the case, then the first move he used to defend against the enemy was actually a trap. Bai Yunfei's lips trembled slightly. On the stage, the Prince of Zijin had already raised his battle power to its peak. He slashed out the 8th move, Furious Howl Hurricane. The golden scimitar was like a golden lightning bolt. It slashed through the space between the two of them. It slashed through the space and directly slashed through Yu Yang's neck, returning to the scabbard on the Prince of Zijin's waist. The scimitar trembled for a long time in the scabbard, letting out a buzzing sound. In the past, when the Prince of Zijin's 8th move was used up and the scabbard returned to the scabbard, the enemy's head would fall off his neck with a pa sound and land at the Prince of Zijin's feet. Most of the time, the enemy would die with a grievance or a look of disbelief. Under the gazes of the 100,000 spectators, Yu Yang's body swayed slightly. This was the sign of him falling to the ground. The Western Lion Pagoda's disciples and the Grey Wolf Academy's students couldn't help but cheer. So what if his strength was abnormal? Under the desert sandstorm, 8 moves, he still fell to the ground and died on the spot. Even the Prince of Zijin, who was a little tired after using all his strength, was preparing to raise his hand to greet the 100,000 spectators. At the same time, he was thinking about how to explain himself. Just as he was about to smile proudly, Yu Yang suddenly raised his left hand. There was a small cut on his index finger. Blood seeped out, but it didn't drip out. Yu Yang blew on his wound, feeling sorry for him. He then sighed. I underestimated the enemy too much. Originally, I wouldn't have cut my finger. When he said this, the Prince of Zijin's eyes widened even more than a cow's. He was fine. His neck had been slashed by the scimitar. How could he be fine? Such a fast speed. If I didn't have the reveal, inherent skill, I wouldn't have been able to see it clearly. The Huaxia Empire's Grandmaster laughed. This brat has improved a lot compared to the time when he was fighting Tu Cheng. Now that he can use his innate strength without the seal, he is already very close to the innate realm. He's really an extraordinary brat. I estimate that I spent more than 200 years to reach his level, but he only spent 20 years. It's a pity that His Majesty couldn't come to watch the battle. Otherwise, he would definitely be very happy. He condensed a fire shield on his finger. At first, it wasn't very useful. The Prince of Zijin's first attack broke it, but every subsequent fire shield was better than the previous one. Furthermore, it was condensed faster and faster. Haha, I feel that if we give this brat a little more time, he might even be able to research the lost divine flaming shield. The old cunning fox stroked his goatee proudly. Can humans also use the divine flaming shield that only beasts have? Feng Kuang asked in surprise. They can, but they must first learn how to control fire. Moreover, they must be able to control it completely. The Huaxia Empire's Grandmaster gave a definite answer. Looks like it's not easy for me to reach this realm. The eagle-eyed Xia Houwei had a headache. It was already very difficult to control fire, let alone controlling it completely. What kind of realm would one need to reach? Aren't you talking nonsense? Even I, the heavenly king who is proficient in both metal and fire, couldn't do it. If you, brat, could do it, would there still be justice in this world? Do you think that everyone can control fire? Dream on. Do you think that you can control fire just by playing with a little fire? Forget it. I won't tell you. I don't want you to feel inferior. However, our son-in-law is really a genius. Little fallen flowers marrying him is really the right choice. Haha, I like a son-in-law who can control fire. This fire shield is really to my liking. The Eastern Sky King's father-in-law was like his mother-in-law. The more he looked at his son-in-law, the more he liked him. On the stage, the Prince of Zijin clenched his teeth and continued to pounce towards Yu Yang. He was so angry that he was like a hungry, bloodthirsty wolf. This was because Yu Yang had stretched out his slightly injured index finger and shook it twice at him. His attitude was not only disdain, but also complete disregard. This made the Prince of Zijin feel even more humiliated than mocking Yu Yang. Could it be that his Desert Storm 8 style could only cut this brat's index finger? If this was spread out, he wouldn't be any better than Bai Yunfei. When the Prince of Zijin raised his hand and released his aura, he secretly swallowed a pill, the Bloodthirst pill. This kind of pill could increase a person's battle power in a short period of time. It could increase a person's battle power by at least 2 times and at most 10 times. It depended on the person's physique and potential. In order to win, the Prince of Zijin was willing to pay any price. Although the effect of the Bloodthirst pill would wear off and he would collapse on the ground, the 10 minutes of effect was enough to end the battle. If he didn't kill this hateful Yu Clan third young master, he would never be able to stand out in the future. He must die. The Prince of Zijin hated this Yu Clan third young master to the core. The whole audience didn't see the Prince of Zijin swallow the pill. They only saw him releasing an even stronger aura in an instant. They thought that the Prince of Zijin had hidden his true strength before this. They were all frightened, thinking that this Prince of Zijin was indeed not simple. Even until now, he still had a trump card. After that, when everyone was ready to watch a good show, they were suddenly stunned. Compared to the appearance of Yu Yang's bloody Queen Red, this was even more shocking and unbelievable. This was because everyone saw that the abnormally strong Titan had actually condensed a whirlpool-like fire shield with just one finger, blocking the Prince of Zijin's scimitar, Berserk Slash. This was definitely the real deal, blocking with just one finger. There were no fancy tricks, it was all based on strength. The Prince of Zijin's sword slashed across the stage, splitting the stone floor like a knife cutting through tofu. However, such a sharp sword slash was completely useless against the whirlpool-like fire shield. The power of the attack was like a clay ox entering the sea. What made the Prince of Zijin even more afraid was that Yu Yang slowly raised the Huijin magic blade in his hand and used Hurricane Surge. It was exactly the same as the Prince of Zijin's previous move. It was even more exquisite, accurately slashing at the Prince of Zijin's chest. The Prince of Zijin staggered backwards. When he looked at Yu Yang in disbelief, he discovered that his opponent had already used the second and third moves in a chain. It was like a torrential river, continuous and unstoppable. The Prince of Zijin had used the Desert Storm 8 scimitar skills on the Prince of Zijin. Of course, Yu Yang had purposely reduced the power of his attacks. All the attacks that landed on the Prince of Zijin's body were only able to injure him and not kill him. In a few seconds, the Prince of Zijin had become a bloody man riddled with scars. All the attacks that he had been hit with were the battle skills that he had created and was the proudest of in his life. Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills. No, that's impossible. The Prince of Zijin didn't want to believe that there was such a terrifying enemy in this world. Not only that, the enemy had only used it once. The Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills that he had painstakingly created under the guidance of a famous teacher for many years had been stolen by his opponent in just a minute. His opponent had even made it more exquisite than his own. Comparing the two of them, the Prince of Zijin, the creator of the Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills, was more than twice as good as the Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills. Your Highness battle skills are worthy of praise. No matter if it's the tricky angles or the chain of attacks, or the distribution of force and skill changes, they are all very reasonable. I have learned the beheading steel blade technique before and realized that Your Highness Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills is more than twice as good as the beheading steel blade technique. When Yu Yang suddenly opened his mouth to praise him, everyone was stunned at first, but then they started laughing. So this brat was actually being sarcastic. Using the Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills to compete with the beheading steel blade technique, the Prince of Zijin was really unlucky. Every warrior in the world knew that the beheading steel blade technique was one of the 3 worst battle skills in the world. How bad was the beheading steel blade technique? It was so bad that even the mercenaries didn't want to learn it. Now that he said that the Prince of Zijin's Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills was more than twice as good as the beheading steel blade technique, what he meant was that it was infinitely bad. When the Prince of Zijin heard this, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. He spat out a mouthful of blood. If Bai Yunfei's internal injuries were caused by anger, the Prince of Zijin's internal injuries were caused by Yu Yang's attacks, causing him to spit out blood due to anger. On the surface, Yu Yang's Desert Storm, 8 scimitar skills were exactly the same as the Prince of Zijin's. However, when he slashed at the Prince of Zijin's body, he realized that there were some differences. Every slash of the Yu clan's 3rd young master's blade had a whirling force. Although the wounds weren't too serious, the muscles under his skin had been cut open by the whirling force of the blade. His injuries were extremely serious, and the pain was unbearable. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the Spring Thunder Battle armor to protect his body and the Bloodthirst pill to temporarily stimulate his life force, the Prince of Zijin felt that he might have already fallen in front of his opponent. Eat 2 more Bloodthirst pills. I don't mind. I also guarantee that I won't report you to the head referee for using the Bloodthirst pill against the rules. When Yu Yang said this, the entire crowd went into an uproar again. Almost everyone knew about the Bloodthirst pill. This kind of thing, other than when it was used to duel with one's life, it was absolutely forbidden in normal competitions. Who would have thought that this Prince of Zijin actually dared to use it in front of everyone's eyes? Chapter 245. The Bloodthirst pill was a type of forbidden medicine. It could stimulate a person's potential in a short period of time and increase their battle power. However, it could also make people lose control easily. Some warriors with weak mental strength would even turn into bloodthirsty beasts and kill without caring about anything else. If it was a life and death battle, it would be fine if they used the Bloodthirst pill to kill their enemies and obtain victory. However, this was the 100 School Elite Tournament. Using the Bloodthirst pill was forbidden. Once they lost control, they would kill their opponents. This kind of warrior who would do anything to win, disregard other people's lives, and despise the rules of the tournament would be despised by everyone. The most basic goal of a tournament was not to kill, but to give more people a chance to train and have a platform to improve together. Hence, a tournament needed a fair starting point. Everyone would try their best to maintain the same fighting condition and compete in a fair manner. Then, they would rely on their fighting spirit, strategies, beast skills, and so on to defeat their opponents. The purpose of a tournament was to train oneself through battles. Through battles, one could learn from other people's strengths and become stronger. Then, One would be able to stand out from thousands of outstanding peers and obtain the final glory. This was the purpose of the 100-school elite tournament. Using the green poison pill to poison one's opponent or using the bloodthirst pill to increase one's strength was strictly forbidden. Once it was discovered, one would be immediately kicked out of the tournament and would not be allowed to participate in the tournament for 3 years. Just now, Prince of Zijin had already gone against the spirit of the tournament by summoning his beast and going up the stage. Everyone looked down on him. Now, he had even secretly used the bloodthirst pill. This was the biggest insult to the word elite. Using the bloodthirst pill to increase his own strength in front of everyone's eyes. Using such a method to attack his opponent. Using such a shameless method to steal victory. This was a resounding slap to the face of the 100-school elite tournament. Prince of Zijin, please stop the tournament. I want to check your blood. The head referee was furious. The bloodthirst pill was a type of forbidden medicine. It was extremely expensive, and normal warriors would not have a chance to use it. However, it was not strange for Prince of Zijin to have such a forbidden medicine. According to rumors, the origin of the bloodthirst pill was actually from the Green Summit sect of Zijin Kingdom. There were countless evil experts in the Green Summit sect. The current sect leader, Duan Mulong Cheng, was not only the heavenly imperial guardian of Zijin Kingdom, he was also a great alchemist. Although there was no proof that the bloodthirst pill was created by Duan Mulong Cheng, it was a fact that Duan Mulong Cheng had created the ash wolf powder for the Zijin Kingdom. It was precisely because the Zijin Kingdom had the ash wolf powder that the Zijin Kingdom's soldiers were also the craziest. They were addicted to battle, just like a pack of hungry wolves. I refused to be examined. Prince of Zijin didn't expect that Yu Yang would be able to tell that he had taken the bloodthirst pill. Of course, he couldn't let the head referee come up to check. Otherwise, not only him, but the Grey Wolf Academy, Zijin Kingdom, and Western Lion Pagoda that he represented would also lose a lot of face. The bloodthirst pill could not be seen on the surface, but an abnormal reaction could be detected in the blood. Especially for the members of the 100 Schools Elite Tournament, they had special type beasts. As long as they sniffed or licked their blood, they would be able to detect it. Don't be in such a hurry to deny it. Actually, even if you eat the bloodthirst pill like rice, I wouldn't care. Yu Yang shrugged his shoulders confidently. I'll kill you. Prince Zijin was infuriated. Everything about him had been exposed by this Yu clan's third young master. What awaited him next was not only a crushing defeat, but also a complete loss of reputation and a humiliation that he would never be able to erase. Taking a forbidden pill was a humiliation that was even harder to erase than kneeling down in front of Bai Yunfei. Right now, he could only kill this enemy of his and shut him up forever. Only then would he be able to vent the hatred in his heart. Prince of Zijin didn't realize that under the provocation of his opponent's words, he had gradually lost control of himself and started to turn into a bloodthirsty beast that chased after killing. Prince of Zijin's eyes were bloodshot. He waved his golden scimitar and slashed it towards Yu Yang crazily. Yu Yang raised his hand. A flaming tornado started to swirl under Prince of Zijin's feet. He couldn't resist it and was blown into the air. Just as Prince of Zijin was about to struggle free, the flaming tornado suddenly disappeared. Yu Yang stomped on the ground, causing another pillar of fire to explode on the stage, shooting up into the sky. The pillar of fire shot Prince of Zijin more than 10 meters high up in the sky before dispersing in all directions. Everyone in the audience felt a wave of scorching hot air blowing towards them, making it hard for them to breathe. In the sky, Prince of Zijin seemed to have been stunned by the pillar of fire that Yu Yang had controlled. His body seemed to have lost consciousness as he fell to the ground. The Grey Wolf Academy's students and Western Lion Pagoda's disciples all shouted loudly. Some of them even used their golden pheasant to wake the fainted Prince of Zijin up. This move was indeed effective. When the golden pheasant crowed, Prince of Zijin's tightly shut eyes immediately opened. He somersaulted in the air and summoned his grimoire from 10 meters high. He summoned a strengthening type, black-winged, flying dragon and fused it with his body. A pair of gigantic dragon wings sprouted from his back, and sharp dragon claws grew out of his 10 fingers. He landed easily on the stage. The audience booed unceasingly, one after another. Originally, they had agreed to use only battle skills in the competition, but now they were using summoning grimoires. Student Tai Tan didn't even summon a single beast. He only used combat skills to fight. Prince of Zijin not only summoned a gold wolf king, he even used a bloodthirst pill and summoned a black-winged flying dragon on the stage. Wasn't this too shameless? Could it be that, in order to win, he could ignore everything else? Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun laughed. They understood that this Prince of Zijin was the one who had truly failed. If Yu Yang wanted to defeat Prince of Zijin, he wouldn't even need to use a finger to defend himself or imitate his opponent's combat skills. Those were all methods to anger Prince of Zijin and make him lose control of himself. By Yunfei, Prince of Zijin and Dragon Ambassador, Qinlan Yu represented the 4 great sects to participate in the 100-school elite tournament. Their purpose was to defeat the younger generation of the 4 great clans and the elites of the various schools to increase their prestige and influence on the soaring dragon continent. In almost every match, as long as their opponents didn't give up, Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin would beat their opponents to the point of despair. The warriors of the soaring dragon continent worshipped the victors. The people of the soaring dragon continent had also started to lean towards them. In comparison, the 3 great killing stars were overshadowed. If Bai Yunfei or Prince of Zijin defeated the 3 great killing stars in the finals, the prestige of the 4 great clans would fall to the bottom of the valley, while the prestige of the 4 great sects would rise to a whole new level. Yu Yang defeated Bai Yunfei first, and then Prince of Zijin. His purpose wasn't just to deal with these 2 arrogant fellows. More importantly, it was to attack the sects that they represented. Prince of Zijin was more competitive than Bai Yunfei. He didn't have Bai Yunfei's patience at all. Furthermore, because he had never been defeated before, he was overconfident and underestimated Yu Yang's true strength. He thought that he could fight against Yu Yang with just a few tricks. In the end, Prince of Zijin couldn't win the competition. He was even forced by Yu Yang to use forbidden medicine and summoning grimoire, pushing himself to the edge of losing his reputation. He can't be saved anymore. Bai Yunfei, who was secretly watching the competition from the private room, shook his head lightly. With the Western Lion Pagoda's protection, I'm afraid there will be a good show later on. The mysterious person who followed Bai Yunfei slowly added, it might be even more exciting later on. They dare to play tricks in front of 100,000 spectators? How many strong warriors are sitting in the middle? Have the people from the Western Lion Pagoda gone crazy? However, this is also not bad. The more chaotic the soaring dragon continent is, the more advantageous it is for us. If they want to fight, we could just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Bai Yunfei looked at Prince of Zijin, who was flying around Yu Yang, looking for an opportunity to attack. The ridicule in Bai Yunfei's eyes became stronger. Among the spectators, the state grandmaster, Feng Kuang, and the old cunning fox all stood up. The state grandmaster summoned his platinum grimoire. On the Blood Rose map, a few blinding red dots flashed. The eagle-eyed guy and the Eastern Sky King were slightly further away. When they looked up, they cried out involuntarily. It's an enemy attack. The Xia Palace is being attacked by enemies. How is this possible? The old cunning fox frowned. This is not a simple attack. You guys go back and support them. I want to stay here. Maybe this is a plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Everyone here are the elites of the younger generation. If the enemy kills them all in one go, it would be a great loss. Although His Majesty's safety is important, I can't be at ease with the students here. You guys go back first. The state grandmaster deeply agreed. Originally, he also wanted to stay, but the Blood Rose map showed that there were more enemies attacking the Xia Palace. He didn't have time to think too much. He hurriedly opened his teleportation scroll and rushed back with Feng Kuang, Feng Xiaoyun, Shui Wendao, Yin Qianzhong, the eagle-eyed guy, and the others. Even the Eastern Sky King ran over to help. The old cunning fox hurriedly beckoned Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and the others to come to his side. The situation is not right. You guys quickly bring everyone away. Before he could finish his sentence, a black pillar of light suddenly shot down from the sky. Two men dressed in blood-red robes, their entire bodies emitting a brilliant light, magically appeared in the sky. Once they appeared, they cooperated and set up a gigantic black rune. Countless amounts of blood spurted out from the black bottles in their hands. It splattered everywhere, as if it was raining blood, under the swirl of their aura. Fresh blood continuously condensed. After that, it formed a whirlpool of blood river that slowly rotated. That black rune was hidden in the whirlpool of blood river, looking extremely strange. It's not the Western Lion Pagoda, it's not the Thousand Goblins sect or the demonic palace. Who are these two fellows? The old cunning fox was sure that these two men dressed in blood-red robes were enemies. Moreover, there was a 90% chance that they were here for Yu Yang. It was just that he didn't know their identities. Could they be evil experts from the Green Summit sect? But he had never heard of such experts from the Green Summit sect. Before the old cunning fox could open his mouth to warn Yu Yang, he saw Yu Bing and Inan running towards the stage worriedly. He hurriedly flew over and stopped them. You guys leave quickly. These two might be experts from the outer realms and the higher levels of Tong Tian Tower. Qian, quickly activate the gold-ranked group teleportation scroll and bring everyone away. The space has already been sealed. Princess Sisai activated the scroll and realized that the scroll was useless. Her jade-like face immediately changed. Go, leave this place immediately. The enemy will not need long to open the space tunnel. At that time, there might be tens of thousands of Outer Realms beasts teleporting over. The old cunning fox roared towards Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun who were preparing to fight. Are you guys crazy? Quickly leave, before the Heavenly Imperial Guardians and innate rankers arrive to support you. The only thing you need to do is to escape. At this time, the whole audience saw the change in the situation and started to panic. They still didn't understand what was going on. The two gold-ranked referees and the head referee released their auras at the same time, raising their strength to their strongest. They attacked the two strange men who were completing the Black Rune. They were all level 6 Elder, Rankers, and above. The head referee had even reached the strength of a level 7 Overlord. However, their attacks were completely ineffective against the two red-robed men. The two red-robed men did not summon their grimoires, nor did they raise their shields to protect themselves. Instead, they took on the attacks with their bodies. Even when they were hit by the thunderous attacks, their bodies only shook slightly. Even their blood-red robes were not damaged. The head referee saw that his hands had split open and his eyes were filled with fear. He couldn't believe what he had just seen. You human warriors are really weak. If it wasn't for His Majesty saying that your soaring dragon continent has a few annoying human children, I wouldn't be willing to come to a remote and desolate place like yours. The man on the left laughed coldly as he took on the combined attacks of the head referee and the gold-ranked referees with just his physical strength. So these two fellows aren't humans. Yu Yang could see with his level 4 divine vision that these two red-robed men were similar to the dragon lady that Elder Nangong brought last time. They weren't humans at all. They were Eastern Goblin tribesmen who had transformed into humans. Chapter 246. The two gold medal judges who were knocked to the ground pretended to be calm on the surface, but their hands were already trembling uncontrollably. Despair and fear exploded in their hearts. Normal martial artists wouldn't be able to see through it, but experts of Yin Pejun's level weren't afraid of it. These two red-robed men were able to withstand the full power attack of the three judges with just their bodies. They did not even need to use any techniques like Yu Yang. This was too terrifying. Who were they? Why did they appear here? In the private room, the mysterious man held down the shock by Yunfei. Calm down, I will definitely send you safely out. Who would have thought that the Lion Pagoda's blood prison's inner disciples would collude with the Eastern Goblin tribe from the Outer Realm? It's easy to invite them in, but hard to send them away. The Eastern Goblin tribe was not something they could provoke. They would definitely regret it. By Yunfei, calm down. Let's listen to what these two Eastern Goblin tribe have to say. The shockwave created by the three judges' full power attack spread throughout the arena. The arena was in chaos. All the spectators stood up in fear. Right now, even a blind man could see that these two red-robed men were enemies, and strong enemies at that. The old cunning fox quickly gathered Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Yu Bing, Inan, and the Ivy Academy students. He stood in front of them like a hen protecting its chicks, his expression extremely solemn. Yin Pejun and Feng Qi Sha also quickly led the Shangjing Academy students over. Prince Tian Luo also led the Pink Rose Group and Fragrance Academy's students over. On the opposite side, the Grey Wolf Academies and Western Lion Pagoda students also gathered together. The Floating Mist Sex and White Cloud Academy students also quickly gathered together. The remaining students were gathered by the four judges. Although the situation was extremely chaotic, there were still people who stood up to organize the students. The students who could not find their teachers could only temporarily follow the four judges. Hundreds of silver armor guards rushed out and blocked the students. Actually, their battle power might not be as strong as the students, but their duty made them stand at the forefront and protect the students. Following the orders of the captains, the silver armor guards summoned their beasts one after another, preparing to fight at any time. As for the mercenaries on the mountain and the warriors who came to watch the elimination matches, they were all dumbfounded. They stood there blankly, not knowing what to do. If they fought, they wouldn't be strong enough. Escape? There was no way to escape on the mountain. Yu Bing really wanted her brother, who was on the stage, to come back. Because he and Prince of Zijin were on the stage alone, they were too obvious a target. If the enemy attacked, then the first target would be his brother. Just as she was feeling anxious, the mysterious beauty who loved to read books suddenly appeared behind her. She hugged her gently and comforted her. Bing, don't be afraid. Your brother will be fine. The most important thing now is to protect yourself. Don't let him be distracted. You and Inan stay here. No matter what happens, don't come out. Wu Hen, Qian, and Sister Fallen Flowers will support your brother at any time. You and Inan must stay calm. Don't let anyone know your identity. When you can use the teleportation scroll, you must return to the little flower garden immediately and wait for us there. The old cunning fox was currently slapping Yikong, Fatty Hai, Yin Pejun, and Feng Qi Sha one by one. He flew into a rage and stopped them from stepping forward. Are you all too full? Don't you know what a critical moment is? Right now, not only do you have to take care of your own lives, you have to take care of your friends and classmates. Let that brat Yu Yang stay on the stage. He has already been exposed, so there's no other way. But if you guys rush up to stand with him, that would be courting death. That would be harming him instead, understand? All of you calm down. Right now, what we need the most is not to panic, but to unite. The silver-masked dragon spear lady, the ice cube guy, Shui Tan Lang, and Dragon Ambassador Kinlan Yu also rushed over to gather. In the entire arena, groups of different sizes were formed according to the strength of each academy and sect. The leader was either a teacher from each academy or a member of the royal family. If not, it was the referee of the arena. Everyone, don't be afraid. Actually, we don't have any ill intentions. The strange man on the right, wearing a blood-red robe, suddenly raised his voice and said, "Now, everyone, please calm down. We are actually here to find a few people. I guarantee that as long as you don't resist and watch quietly, none of your lives will be in danger." When that person said that, all the mercenaries' hearts immediately relaxed. They knew that the other party was definitely not here to find them. Some of the more thick-skinned fellows had already sat down. They continued to watch the show. Anyway, even if the sky collapsed, everyone would die together. Those noble princesses and princes were not afraid. So why should they be afraid of their worthless lives? Not every mercenary could calm down, but there were quite a number of them who had the mentality of if the sky collapsed, there would be tall people to hold it up. When they heard that the person who came was not here to kill, but to find a few people, they were relieved. When the old cunning fox heard that, his heart sank. As expected, they were here for Yu Yang and the other outstanding juniors. It seemed that the attack on the Xia Palace was a trap. Once the guards left, they would immediately attack the juniors. They are from the Eastern Goblin tribe, not humans. They are similar to the Dragon Lady from before, but there are some differences. Being air, hide in the crowd first. No matter what happens, don't come out. Yu Yang used the Gemini inherent skill spiritual dialogue to comfort Yu Bing. At the same time, he told her to calm down and An, Yu, and the others, and not to act rashly. Tell him to be careful. Don't worry about us. We will take care of ourselves. Princess Sisai hurriedly told Yu Bing to warn Yu Yang. In the sky, in the middle of the black pillar of light and the black pattern, 3 silhouettes appeared. 2 of them were dressed in black robes. Their bodies were especially tall. They looked to be at least 3 meters tall. Their huge bodies were as light as a willow, floating in the air. The person in the middle was dressed in a golden yellow robe, with a purple crown on his head. He held a white jade scroll with ancient runes on it. It was a middle-aged man dressed in a golden yellow robe. He looked elegant and handsome. He floated in the air, cupping his hands with the soaring dragon continent's etiquette. Everyone, please forgive us for not coming quickly. A month ago, your soaring dragon continent warriors recommended outstanding juniors to our emperor. Our emperor likes talented people the most, so he specially ordered us to come to the soaring dragon continent to invite our esteemed guests to gather at our emperor's rainbow palace. Now, all the outstanding juniors that I've called out, please gather in the middle of the arena. We promise that we will not harm anyone. After our emperor has warmly received all of you, I will personally send you back. I will keep my word. Please do not worry about our sincerity. Immediately after, he slowly opened the white jade scroll and read out the names one by one. Following our emperor's orders, we invite the following esteemed guests to gather. They are the Yu Clan's 3rd young master Yu Yang, Yu Clan's 7th Miss Yu Bing, Feng Clan's Feng Qi Sha, Shui Clan's Shui Tan Lang, Yin Clan's Yin Pajun, Floating Miss Sec's Junior Sec Leader by Yun Fei, Zijin Kingdom's Prince Chu Feng Lei, Tian Luo Kingdom's Hua Ziyu, Crystal Palace's Dragon Ambassador Tsang Lan, and Xia Kingdom's Princess Sisai. A total of 10 outstanding juniors. Please come to the arena. Our emperor likes young talents the most. He will definitely treat all of you well. I'm not going. Prince of Zijin shouted in fear when he heard that. Didn't we agree on this? You guys will only bring them away. You won't ask our Western Lion Pagoda for them. No, I'm not going. Your Highness Prince of Zijin, our emperor has specifically asked for you. It is an honor to be summoned by our emperor. Please don't reject our emperor's dragon saint favor. The elegant middle-aged man dressed in gold and yellow robes was refined and courteous. He spoke neither too fast nor too fast. Even though he was under the gaze of 100,000 people, he was still calm and collected. His tone was calm and unruffled. Please invite the other 9 esteemed guests to come up. We don't want to waste too much of everyone's time. As long as everyone is present, we will leave immediately. We won't disturb your competition. Who exactly are you guys? Yu Yang realized that his level 4 divine vision could see through Shui Yi and Xian Yi, but he couldn't see through this golden-robed middle-aged man. He couldn't help but ask curiously. We are not objects. We are from the Eastern Goblin tribe. Please forgive us. We only want to talk to our esteemed guests. May I ask if you are one of the invited esteemed guests? The middle-aged man cupped his hands and greeted Yu Yang elegantly. Although I don't intend to go, it seems that my name is really on the list. Yu Yang observed the middle-aged man with his divine vision and replied slowly. May I ask if you are the Yu Clan's 3rd young master that our emperor is most interested in? Your strength is outstanding. At such a young age, you already have such a high level of cultivation. It is really rare. Our emperor has specially instructed us to invite you no matter what. Seeing the Yu Clan's 3rd young master taking the initiative to appear, it is really a pleasant surprise. I am the fiery Golden Eyes beast. You can call me Golden Eyes. I am here to greet the Yu Clan's 3rd young master. The middle-aged man looked at Yu Yang from head to toe. His expression changed slightly as he cupped his hands and greeted again. Fiery golden eyes beast? When Yu Yang heard this, he was slightly startled. Master Golden Eyes, there's no need to be so courteous with this brat. Isn't it easy for you to capture this brat? Old Black, can capture him in one move. The black-robed man who was standing on the left of the golden-robed, middle-aged man spoke with a buzzing voice. His voice was like thunder exploding in everyone's ears, shaking their hearts. Old Black, don't be rude. The golden-robed, middle-aged man scolded lightly. He cupped his hands and greeted Yu Yang. Yu Clan's third young master, this hot-tempered fellow, is the big brother of the Black Mountain Grizzly Bears. The other one is his younger brother. Although they are hot-tempered, they are kind-hearted. They are definitely not vulgar and rude people. Normally, they would not take the initiative to attack others. Boom! Before the middle-aged man could finish his sentence, the Prince of Zijin, who was trying to escape, was caught by the bear brother on the left with lightning speed. The Prince of Zijin's entire body immediately sunk into the ground. Without waiting for the Prince of Zijin to struggle, the insolent little brother grabbed his right leg with his gigantic hand and smashed the Prince of Zijin heavily onto the stage, just like how a grown man would throw a little frog to the ground. As the Prince of Zijin cried out in pain, the little brother raised his gigantic leg and stomped on the Prince of Zijin's head, smashing it into the rubble of the stage. Hateful little human bug. So noisy. The 100,000 spectators were dumbstruck. They couldn't believe their eyes at all. No matter how weak the Prince of Zijin was, he was still one of the top 5 rankers. He could even squeeze into the top 3 rankers. How could he be defeated in one move? The strangest thing was that they seemed to be related to the Prince of Zijin. Why would they attack the Prince of Zijin? Chapter 247. So you won't take the initiative to attack others? Well said. Yu Yang clapped his hands and praised. Prince of Zijin shouldn't have rejected our emperor's sincere invitation. His action of running away really angered us. A real man shouldn't run away when faced with danger. Erhe was a bit rough when he tried to stop us. I apologize to everyone. Actually, as long as everyone cooperates, we promise that we won't harm a single hair on anyone's head. The golden-clothed middle-aged man was still very courteous. The whole audience was speechless. An invitation that couldn't be rejected. How was that different from being a captive? Yu Bing, who was below the stage, was extremely anxious for her brother. If those Eastern Goblin tribe members attacked her brother again, what should she do? She wanted to help her brother, but because she wasn't strong enough, she would only be a burden to her brother if she went out. This made her hate herself. If only she had strong combat power, how good would that be? It was a pity that she couldn't fight alongside her brother. She could only watch her brother fight alone. Different from Yu Bing, the mysterious beauty, sickly beauty, Princess Sisai, and City Mistress Fallen Flowers were anxiously waiting for the best opportunity to help Yu Yang. The old cunning fox's expression was even more solemn. Right now, he wasn't thinking about helping Yu Yang, but how to bring his students away safely. Yu Yang's strength wasn't what he was worried about the most. On the other hand, if Yu Bing and the others were discovered by the enemy, Yu Yang would be in even more trouble. It's not that you can't invite me. Normally, I only accept invitations from strong warriors. On the stage, Yu Yang raised his Hui Jin magic blade and said loudly, "If you want to invite me, then prove your strength." Wah! Tens of thousands of spectators were in an uproar. They felt that this brat had gone crazy. The opponent was so strong. Even Prince of Zijin was killed in one move, and he still wanted to issue a challenge? Since it's a request from our esteemed guest, we will definitely try our best to fulfill it. The middle-aged man who called himself the Fiery Golden Eyes Beast smiled. 2 black-clothed giants, 2 blood-clothed men, and 4 Eastern Goblin tribe members gathered together. They stretched out their hands and began to throw punches arrogantly. It seemed that any random one of them could beat Yu Yang like fallen flowers. In the end, the man on the left won the rock-paper-scissors game. He strode forward and became Yu Yang's opponent. The middle-aged man who called himself Fiery Golden Eyes Beast introduced in a cultured and refined voice. This is the second plum blossom of the Plum Blossom brothers. However, he is not a plum blossom deer. He is a plum blossom leopard. His strength is a level 9 Earth Goblin. If converted to your soaring dragon continents ranking, he would have the strength of a level 9 Saint. Of course, because of certain reasons, it is very difficult for normal goblins to break through to the innate realm. Even if their strength has reached the innate realm, there is no way for them to increase their realm. Hence, he is only a Goblin Palace Guard who is infinitely close to the innate realm. This way, he is not really bullying you humans. You clan 3rd Young Master. As long as you can withstand 10 of my attacks, I will go back and report to my Emperor. My Emperor will definitely send a special envoy to invite you with more sincerity, just like how my Emperor sent a special envoy to invite the Xia Emperor Junwu to the Rainbow Treasure Palace. What? When Yu Yang heard this, he was stunned. These Eastern Goblin tribes' appetite was really big. Not only did they want to capture the soaring dragon continent's younger generation, they even wanted to capture the Xia Emperor Junwu. They even dared to touch Junwu, who was protected by 2 heavenly imperial guardians and 3 innate rankers. This proved that the Eastern Goblin tribe that came from the outer realms of Tong Tian Tower was unbelievably strong. Not only His Majesty Junwu, the 3 clan masters, Marshal Yu Hai, Great Commander Feng Kuang, Feng Xiaoyun, Shui Wendao, and Yin Qianzhong, as well as Tian Luo's Eastern Sky King and Western Sky King. The only regret is that because the Xia Emperor Jun Wuyu needs to stay in Xia to handle the country's affairs, he rejected our invitation. We deeply admire Hua Xia Emperor Jun Wuyu, so we decided to respect his wishes and not forcefully invite him. The fiery golden eyes beast who had transformed into a middle-aged man said slowly. His words were like a bolt from the blue, shocking everyone present. Almost all the rankers from Huaxia and Tian Luo Kingdom were gathered here, yet they were all captured in one fell swoop. What kind of power did they actually possess to be able to do this? The old cunning fox's heart felt like it had fallen into an ice cellar. Through the other party's words, he understood that other than the innate ranker, everyone else had been captured on the spot. When the Eastern Goblin tribe returned to rescue them, it had not even been 10 minutes. Now, only the Eastern Goblin tribe had managed to escape. The entire army had been annihilated. Without Jizun, Night Empress, and Elder Nangong guarding the Soaring Dragon Continent, the Soaring Dragon Continent was as weak as an undefended village, easily invaded by the Eastern Goblin tribe. However, how did the Eastern Goblin tribe know that Jizun, Night Empress, and Elder Nangong had gone to the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower, and that there was no one guarding the Soaring Dragon Continent? There must be a traitor. The biggest suspect was the Western Lion Pagoda's people. Furthermore, the Zijin Kingdom was also involved. Especially the Prince of Zijin's words just now, it could reveal a lot of things. The Zijin Kingdom and the Western Lion Pagoda's people might have made some kind of agreement with the Eastern Goblin tribe to lead the Eastern Goblin tribe's rankers here. Who would have known that the Eastern Goblin tribe did not follow the agreement between the Zijin Kingdom and the Western Lion Pagoda? They also wanted to bring the Prince of Zijin, an outstanding disciple, away, not giving the Zijin Kingdom any face. Impossible. They only want to use lies to destroy our fighting spirit. Yin Pejun could not believe that this was the truth no matter what. The 4 great clans' masters had all been captured. His Majesty Jun Wuyu and the Tian Luo Eastern and Western Heavenly Kings had also been captured. How could this be possible? Kill. Let's kill them and chase after them to save them. Feng Qisha's mind started to waver. He was on the verge of going crazy. Shuetan Lang did not say anything. He only flew out and jumped to Yu Yang's side. He stood side by side with Yu Yang and snorted at Yu Yang coolly. Let me fight one too. Don't try to show off. The current Yu is not a match for these goblin clans. Yu Yang attacked him without holding back. I'll fight even if I'm not a match for them. Shuetan Lang's fighting spirit was not affected at all. You must be the Shui clan's Shuetan Lang. Not bad. You are very outstanding. You live up to your name as one of the 3 great killing stars, especially your fighting spirit. You are second only to this Yu clan's 3rd young master. I admire you very much. If our emperor sees you, he might bestow you a sky demon ranked ice dragon. The fiery golden-eyes beast that had transformed into a middle-aged man slightly bowed towards Shui Tanlang. The three great killing stars are not just Shui Tanlang. Yin Pejun and Feng Qi Sha released their qi and jumped onto the stage, standing beside Shui Tanlang. Welcome to all of you. The middle-aged man smiled and greeted them one by one. You are all idiots. Yu Yang was speechless. Wasn't it better to hide? Why did you have to come here to die? I've always been very smart. It's rare for me to be an idiot. Yin Pejun laughed out loud. He knew that he would not be able to escape today. The enemy's strength was unbelievably strong. Rather than being instantly killed like Prince of Zijin, he might as well take the initiative to fight. Also, Prince of Tianluo and Princess Sisai, Yu Clan's 7th Miss Yubing, floating Miss Sex Junior Sec leader by Yunfei, and Crystal Palace's Dragon Ambassador Conglan. Please come up to the stage as well. As long as one of you can withstand 10 moves from the Mei Hua brothers or the Xiong brothers, I will happily report this to my emperor and invite the imperial envoy to welcome you. The fiery golden-eyes beast that had transformed into a middle-aged man stated his conditions. As long as they could withstand 10 moves, they could stay. However, were these 10 moves really that easy to withstand? The opponent had the strength of a level 9 saint. Although he was not an innate, he had already reached the peak of his strength. It would be difficult for him to withstand even one move, let alone 10 moves. The old cunning fox used his body to cover Yu Bing. If she was discovered by the enemy, it would be the biggest blow to Yu Yang. He did not stop the three great killing stars from entering the stage. However, when Princess Sisai and Prince of Tianluo were about to enter the stage, he scolded them angrily. Now that His Majesty and the two heavenly kings are in trouble, the country is in danger. You are the foundation of the country. If you go out now, aren't you just seeking your own death? Do you think that even the heavenly imperial guardians couldn't stop the Eastern Goblin tribe? Do you really think that just a few kids like you can fight against them? Princess Sisai covered her face, tears dripping down from the gaps between her fingers. My father is already gone. What's the use of the country? I want to save that old fellow. Sickly beauty flew up. Colorful lights shone brightly on her body. She quickly transformed into Prince of Tianluo's appearance in midair and landed behind Yu Yang like a gentle breeze. She shouted, Prince of Tianluo, Hua Ziyu is here. The real Prince of Tianluo wanted to speak, but City Master Fallen Flowers slapped him down and hugged Yu Bing, preventing her from rushing up the stage. The mysterious beauty who loves to read books also shone brightly, transforming into a similar appearance to Yu Bing. The only difference was that she was taller than Yu Bing by a head. She floated up and landed behind Yu Yang, Yu Clan's Yu Bing. Yu Bing was crying so hard that she almost fainted in City Master Fallen Flowers' embrace. Inan and City Master Fallen Flowers hugged her tightly, afraid that she would rush out and say that she was Yu Bing. Once she was discovered, they would probably lose another person. Dragon Ambassador Conglan Yu from the Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace also strode up the stage. His expression was not good, but his eyes were firm. Very good. Now only young sect leader by Yunfei and Princess Sisai are left. The middle-aged man that the fiery golden-eyes beast had transformed into nodded in satisfaction. The soaring dragon continent is indeed full of geniuses. I've been to more than 10 continents, but this is the first time I've seen so many outstanding juniors. Now, I would like to invite Princess Sisai and young sect leader by Yunfei onto the stage. Once everyone is gathered, we will leave immediately. We will not disturb everyone for too long. Bai Yunfei is here. The mysterious man had changed into Bai Yunfei's clothes in the private room. After taking off his mask, he looked a little similar to Bai Yunfei, as if he was born to be Bai Yunfei's substitute. The Dragon Spear Lady came over and whispered to Princess Sisai. She did not have the ability to change her appearance like sickly beauty, but she still wanted to impersonate Princess Sisai. Princess Sisai shook her head and waved her hands, firmly rejecting. If Jun Wuyu, Elder Yu Hai, and the others were not kidnapped by the Easter Goblin tribe, she would definitely not go out. There was no meaning in hiding anymore. The reason why the other party kidnapped their fathers was to force the juniors to show themselves. It could be said that the enemy's plan had already been meticulously planned. They would not allow the juniors whose loved ones were kidnapped to refuse. Now, there were two ways. One was to defeat these people and use them as a bargaining chip to exchange for the hostages. This method could not be realized unless a large number of innate rancors descended. The second method was to not resist and follow the Eastern Goblin tribe. When they found their loved ones who were kidnapped, they would act according to the situation and save them. This method was also very unlikely, because once they reached the Eastern Goblin tribe's territory, it would be like using sand to fill the sea if they wanted to kill their way out. Of course, it was not that there was no hope at all. As long as the innate rancors who were guarding the soaring dragon continent returned from the 10th floor and went to the Eastern Goblin tribe's territory to save everyone, there was still a possibility. Princess Sisai knew that it would be best for her to stay and let the Dragon Spear Lady replace her. However, if Yu Yang and her father were taken away, what was the point of her staying here? She might as well stay with them. Hugging and bidding farewell to City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Yu Bing and the Dragon Spear Lady, Princess Sisai wiped away her tears and walked down the stairs resolutely. She stepped onto the stage, the giant sword on her back clanging loudly. In an instant, she regained the prestige of a rouge tiger, standing proudly in front of the strong enemies. What a great Princess Sisai from the Xia Kingdom. Women are not inferior to men. You have the style of your father. The fiery golden eyes beast who had transformed into a middle-aged man praised. Chapter 248. If you want to invite us to the Rainbow Treasure Palace, then you have to prove your strength to me. Yu Yang decided to fight with the enemy and gave another condition. When strong warriors fight, the shockwaves can easily hurt the innocent. Let the spectators leave. Since you're looking for the 10 of us, we are all here now. No problem. The middle-aged man that the fiery golden eyes beast had transformed into pondered for a while before nodding his head in agreement. We will only invite VIPs. We will not care about unrelated people. They can leave freely, but if some of them are willing to stay and watch the battle, we will not stop them. In short, everything is up to you. If some of them are willing to follow us to the Rainbow Treasure Palace to see our emperor, that would be my greatest pleasure. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, many people felt relieved. It would be best if they could leave. Who would want to stay? Those unrelated people would want to leave as soon as possible. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others were not willing to leave because they wanted to stay. Even if they could be of help to Yu Yang, it would still be good. Letting Yu Yang fight alone and escape in fear was not something they could accept. The old cunning fox obviously knew what they were thinking. He glared angrily at Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others as he used his cloak to cover Yu Bing's figure. At the same time, he ordered in a low voice, "Everyone, leave this place immediately. This is Yu Yang's hard-earned chance to escape. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, you guys lead the way. Maybe there will be traitors from the soaring dragon continent trying to kill us. If that's the case, you guys have to fight your way out. Everyone pay attention. Once we leave the area of the space seal, everyone have to use teleportation scrolls immediately and use your fastest speed to go to the safest place. Hide first." Yu Bing also did not want to leave, but she knew that she was the key. If she did not leave, then her brother would not be able to fully focus on the battle. Because of her brother's usual pampering, she had gradually recovered her original personality. She loved to cry and laugh, and her heart was no longer as closed as before. However, this did not mean that she had become weak. When faced with a crisis, her stubborn personality and firm fighting spirit would immediately shine from the bottom of her heart. She gave her brother a long look. Then, he wiped away his tears, grabbed Inan and Yu, and left first. Inan and Yu were not strong enough. Now that her brother had no time to take care of them, it was her turn to protect them. Yu Bing didn't look at City Lord Fallen Flowers. She knew that Big Sister Fallen Flowers definitely wouldn't leave. If there was no chance to escape, Big Sister Fallen Flowers would stay to protect everyone. However, if there was a chance to escape, she would stay and fight alongside her brother. Sister Fallen Flowers' dual Aurora, during body fusion was one of her brother's secret weapons. I hate this the most. I'm clearly the boss, but I have to abandon my underlings and run away alone. Where am I going to put my face as the boss? Fatty High's eyes were as red as a wolf's as he rushed in front of Yu Bing, ready to deal with any sudden incidents. Yi Kong and the Li brothers also chased after them, opening a path in front. If Yu Bing, Inan, and Yu didn't need protection, Fatty High, Yi Kong, and the others wouldn't leave even if they had to die. But now, they had to protect them, until they were safely out of danger. The whole audience was in an uproar. If they could leave this place, of course no one would be willing to stay. Those who had flying beasts all rode or flew away. Those who couldn't fly also quickly rushed to leave. The mercenaries fought to be the first to leave. On the contrary, the students of the various academies were calmer. Under the guidance of their teachers and judges, they gathered into groups and left in batches. The old cunning fox glanced at Yu Yang. He made a hand gesture to reassure Yu Yang and flew to protect Yu Bing and the others. The person who wanted to stay the most was him, but he couldn't be at ease leaving a large group of people without protection. What if there was an enemy ambush outside? There were actually quite a number of people who stayed. Some of them were mercenaries who were especially brave and loved to watch. Some of them were disciples from various sects, like the Western Lion Pagoda's disciples and Zijin Academy students. They had lost their prince of Zijin, so they didn't dare to leave. Otherwise, even if they returned to Zijin Kingdom, they would only die. Some of them were the staff members of the Great Assembly. Most of them had special type beasts. They didn't have very strong fighting capabilities, but they were good at healing and repairing. They hoped to stay behind and see if they could help Yu Yang and the others. There were also some secret rankers like the Dragon Spear Lady and City Mistress Fallen Flowers who were waiting outside the arena, waiting for an opportunity to help Yu Yang and the others. Lastly, there was also Bai Yunfei who was sitting quietly in the private room. For some reason, he didn't take the opportunity to leave, but stay behind. At the center of the black pillar of light and the runic circle, a tall man wearing a striped tiger skin with a pair of huge wings flapped his wings and flew out. He rushed towards the middle-aged man that the fiery Golden Eyes beast had transformed into and shouted, "Golden Eyes, your actions are too slow. Bring the target away immediately." The heavenly blood sacrifice requires the sacrifice of 10,000 beasts in order to maintain the space passage. You can't dawdle anymore. Xiaomei, the four of you, capture them immediately. As long as you don't kill them, it won't be considered a violation of the Supreme Agreement. You don't have to worry, attack. When a middle-aged man that the fiery Golden Eyes beast had transformed into saw him, his expression changed slightly. He cupped his hands and said, "So the Flying Tiger Envoy has personally come. Since that's the case, Jin Xing will be handed over to the Flying Tiger Envoy. Please forgive Jin Xing for leaving first." Just like the Flying Tiger Envoy, the middle-aged man flew into the center of the runic circle and disappeared. Before he left, he seemed to glance at Yu Yang. Hearing the Flying Tiger Envoy's words, the two black-clothed giants and the two blood-clothed men pounced forward as fast as lightning. Yin Pejun, Feng Qisha, and the others were already prepared. They summoned their grimoires almost at the same time and used their protective shields to block the four people's earth-shaking attacks. In the sky, the Flying Tiger Envoy condensed a terrifying ball of light in his hands and shouted towards Yu Yang and the others, "You have to give up resisting and surrender. If you don't resist and leave with us obediently, we might still let you maintain your fighting strength. On the other hand, if you resist, I don't mind turning you into captives. You have to understand one thing. I'm not that Golden Eyes who likes to talk. I, the Flying Tiger, am a stronger existence that cannot be defied." Yu Yang realized that this Flying Tiger Envoy was indeed stronger than the fiery Golden Eyes beast. However, in terms of intelligence and fighting potential, the refined and courteous Golden Eyes was much scarier. Yu Yang saw that Golden Eyes left unhappily and saw that the Flying Tiger Envoy was preparing to attack again. He knew that he had reached the end of his stalling tactic. Now was the time to turn hostile. In the end, the Heavenly Imperial Guardians did not come, Maybe the heavenly Imperial Guardians were still fighting and had no time to come. Fortunately, Yu Bing and the others had already left. Although they did not go far, if they started fighting now, they should not be affected by the shockwaves. Listen, I'll count to 10. If you guys don't come out of the barrier by then, I'll throw out a Radiant Tiger explosion wave every 10 seconds. I guarantee that your friends and classmates who haven't gone far will be smashed into pieces. 1, 2, 3. The flying tiger envoy raised a gigantic ball of light into the sky. As long as he threw it out, no matter which direction it was thrown to, the densely packed crowd outside would also suffer heavy casualties. Since things have come to this, let's fight with all our might. Yu Yang knew that he could not delay any longer. He was the first to keep his summoning grimoire. At the same time, he started to transform the Reaper Mantis into a unique Reaper Mantis battle armor. It was a pity that he had only learned half of armor transformation, so he still couldn't grasp the sickly beauty's ability. Furthermore, the Reaper Mantis wasn't the best armor transformation beast yet. The surface area of Yu Yang's armor transformation was only about 30%. Even so, the Flying Tiger Ambassador furrowed his brows. The Flying Tiger Envoy pointed at Yu Yang and shouted at Xiong, Mei, and the 4 attendants, "Leave this human kid to me. You guys take care of the rest. Hurry up, we don't have much time left." Yin Pejun, Feng Qi Sha, Dragon Ambassador Canlan Yu, and the substitute who impersonated by Yun Fei all summoned their strongest beasts and fought against a He of the Xiong clan's guard. With 4 against 1, they seemed to have the highest chance of winning. Shuetan Lang fought against a He of the Xiong clan's guard alone. He fought against a strong enemy alone. Of course, he knew that he could not win, but he did it to share the burden with his comrades. Princess Sisai had the same thought as him. She fought against the He of the blood-clothed plum blossom leopard to create an opportunity for the mysterious beauty and sickly beauty to fight against Mayer. The Dragon Spear Lady and City Mistress Fallen Flowers who were below the stage were also gathering their strongest powers, ready to help at any time. Surprisingly, Bai Yun Fei, who was hiding in the private room, hid his aura and did not make a sound, as if he was planning to watch from the sidelines. Bloody Queen Red followed closely behind Yu Yang. Together with Yu Yang, they rose into the sky and charged towards the Flying Tiger Envoy. The great battle had completely erupted with her banshee scream. None of the Eastern Goblin tribe members had summoned their beasts. Perhaps they themselves were existences like summoned beasts. When the banshee scream erupted, the Flying Tiger Envoy created 2 clones. One of the clones raised the Radiant Tiger explosion wave and attacked towards Yu Yang fiercely. The other one was his main body, which was 100 times faster than lightning. When Yin Pejun and the other 3 joined hands to attack Big Black, the Xiong Pai's bodyguard, he had silently arrived from behind. His 2 fists were condensed with a tiger's headlight wave, and he attacked Feng Qi Sha and Yin Pejun's back. Just as Dragon Ambassador Canlan Yu turned around, the Flying Tiger Ambassador's main body spat out a tiger-shaped shockwave, which exploded on Dragon Ambassador Canlan Yu's face. On the other side, Big Black Bear's fist had just reached a meter in front of the substitute who was pretending to be Bai Yun Fei. The substitute's heavy palm struck Big Black Bear's chest like a thunderbolt, but Big Black Bear was only forced back 2 steps without any reaction. The double was surprised to see that Feng Qi Sha and the other 2 were not helping him. When he turned around, he saw that the 3 of them had already fallen to the ground. Behind him, a meteor-like fist was flying towards him. He could not help but be frightened to the point that his soul almost left his body. He immediately soared into the sky, intending to escape the battlefield. Human level 8 Emperor, not bad. It's a pity that you met me, Flying Tiger. The Flying Tiger Ambassador's body flashed and disappeared. In a flash, he appeared above the head of the double who had soared into the sky. He opened up his 5 fingers and pressed them on the double's face. A terrifying shockwave exploded. A tiger-shaped beam of light, just like an aurora, directly knocked the double off the stage and into the ground. While the double was painfully struggling to crawl out from the deep pit, the Flying Tiger Ambassador's main body was raising an even bigger radiant tiger explosion wave, preparing to blast it towards his head. The eyes of the double who was pretending to be Bai Yunfei were filled with despair and fear. Chapter 249. Rumble. Just as the Flying Tiger Ambassador was about to use Radiant Tiger Explosion Wave to kill the substitute, he suddenly heard a rumble. On the spectator's stand, a figure smashed into the stone steps like a meteor. The Flying Tiger Ambassador was shocked. This was because the figure that was sent flying was not one of the human children, but the Xiong Pai guard Erhe who was fighting against the cold-looking man. That cold-looking young man had the ability to send the Xiong Pai guard Erhe flying, but that brat was not even a level 7 overlord. The Flying Tiger Ambassador could not believe it at all. He turned his head around and realized that Dahe, who was behind him, had also been sent flying by someone. Dahe had also crashed into the deep pit that Erhe had crashed into. It was only then that the Flying Tiger Ambassador realized that the person who had sent his two subordinates flying wasn't the young man with the cold appearance. Instead, it was another man with a half-crying, half-smiling golden mask. Not only did he send the Xiong Pai brothers flying, he also condensed a huge fire whirlpool to block the Mei Hua brothers' sharp claws. It was really unbelievable that he was able to block the Xiong Pai brothers and the Mei Hua brothers alone. This person was obviously attacked by his clone. How could he still have the time to save others? The Flying Tiger Ambassador turned his head to look again and was stunned. In the sky, his clone's entire body was covered in frost. His hands were still in the posture of raising the Radiant Tiger Explosion Wave, as if he was surrendering. The clone that was condensed from frost fell rapidly. It crashed heavily onto the stage with a loud bang. Shattered ice splattered everywhere. What happened? The Flying Tiger Ambassador was baffled. Even if that human kid could see through the fact that his clone only had 1/10 of his actual combat power, it shouldn't be possible for him to freeze it. Furthermore, how could the Xiong Pai Imperial Guard be defeated by anyone below the level of an innate rancor? Where did the Radiant Tiger Explosion Wave that he condensed just now go? Yu Yang would definitely not tell him that the one who sent the Xiong Pai brothers flying just now was actually borrowing the power of his Radiant Tiger Explosion Wave. Ho! The Xiong Pai brothers roared like thunder. Their bodies shook, shaking the stands. They shook their bodies and shot out from the rubble. Although they were sent flying by the Radiant Tiger Explosion Wave that Yu Yang had borrowed from the Flying Tiger Ambassador's clone, their strong bodies were only slightly injured. Only his skin and hair were slightly charred. The toughness of the Eastern Goblin tribe's body had reached an unimaginable level. Although they weren't innates, they had physical bodies that were at the pinnacle. Unless it was an innate rancor, they could ignore all attacks. Similarly, if a human level 9 saint was not an innate, he would at least vomit blood after taking a hit from the Radiant Tiger Explosive Wave. Of course, the human race did not have any non-innate and innate level 9 saints. Although the physical strength of the human race could not be compared to the demonic beasts and the demon race, their intelligence was much higher. As long as he could become a 9th level saint, he would definitely be an innate. However, the Eastern Goblin tribe was different. The Plum Blossom Leopard's Mei-Air's claws tore through the sky and split the earth. Princess Sisai did not take a head-on. She immediately summoned her grimoire and raised her protective shield, blocking the attack. Her main responsibility was to delay Second Mei, so that Yu Yang, Wu Xia, and Wu Hen could kill First Mei. Dahe and Ariai, take these human children away first. The Mei brothers and I will be right there. The Flying Tiger Ambassador looked at the unconscious Feng Qi Sha, Yin Pejun, and the others on the ground. He then waved his hand and signaled the Xiong brothers to take the people away. Otherwise, in the next battle, these humans who had lost their defensive power would all die from the shockwave. The Xiong brothers were very annoyed, but they still obeyed the order. One of them grabbed the heavily injured Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun, while the other grabbed the unconscious dragon ambassador Ken Lan Yu and Prince of Zijin. Their gigantic bodies whistled as they flew towards the black pillar of light and the runic circle, disappearing without a trace. The flying tiger ambassador smashed the gigantic ice that sealed the clone with a punch, releasing the clone from the ice. The flying tiger ambassador, who had fused with the clone and recovered his full strength, rushed towards Yu Yang. Yu Yang immediately summoned his grimoire and raised his protective shield. When the flying tiger ambassador's flashing tiger head rippled with power and hit the protective shield, Yu Yang used his binding chain's inherent skill to lock him in place. In the sky, the bloody Queen Red pounced down and let out a banshee scream beside the flying tiger ambassador's ears. Her gold-ranked dragon, slaying dagger and silver eye destroyer dagger, pierced the flying tiger ambassador's eyes. Yu Yang's attack was even more shameless. He gathered all the strength in his body and used his Yang extreme strength, in addition to the earth-splitting slash, heavily slashing the flying tiger ambassador's lower body. He wanted to make this flying tiger ambassador a eunuch. Because the Eastern Goblin tribe had strong bodies, normal attacks were completely ineffective. Yu Yang had no choice but to attack the vital parts. On the other side, Shui Tanlang and Princess Sisai had already summoned their grimoires. Within the protective shield, no matter how hard the Mei brothers tried to attack, they were still safe and sound. As for the eldest Mei leopard, he realized that he couldn't catch up to the two girls in front of him, even with his extreme speed. After his continuous attacks failed, he angrily pounced towards the side of the arena. His sharp claws went straight for City Mistress Fallen Flowers' face. City Mistress Fallen Flowers instantly summoned her grimoire and raised her protective shield, easily blocking the sharp claws. At the same time, the three-tailed snow fox under her feet quickly became bigger. Her 6 tails swayed gracefully, and a strange fragrance assaulted the nostrils. The aurora, energy that City Mistress Fallen Flowers had been accumulating all along, had already reached its limit. The terrifying aurora shot towards the eldest Mei leopard. Moreover, the other point of attack of the aurora was coincidentally the flying tiger ambassador who was sent flying by Yu Yang's blade. This was the tacit understanding between Yu Yang and City Mistress Fallen Flowers. They didn't need to say anything, but they had a tacit understanding. The eldest Mei leopard was unwilling to take on this kind of terrifying aurora head-on, so he jumped and dodged it. As he dodged, the flying tiger ambassador, who was still under the binding chain's inherent skill, was unlucky. He was hit by the aurora head-on. The flying tiger ambassador was blasted into the other side of the spectator's stand 100 meters away. The aurora had blasted a huge hole in the stone spectator stand. The rubble collapsed and buried the flying tiger ambassador in it. On the other side, the eldest Mei leopard, who had just dodged the aurora, secretly thought that it was a close shave. He didn't expect that a fist that was as strong as him would land heavily on his nose. This was the Dragon Spear Lady's sneak attack. Once she attacked, she immediately displayed her powerful brute force. The eldest Mei leopard was hit and sunk into the ground. When he crawled out of the mud pit, he couldn't help but spit out a small mouthful of blood. This was also the first time the Eastern Goblin tribe was injured and spat out blood since the start of the battle. The eldest Mei leopard looked at his blood-stained hand with an expression of disbelief. A non-innate human warrior actually made him spit out blood? In the sky, the black pillar of light and the runic circle started to tremble and gradually dissipate, as if it would disappear at any time. The Mei brothers sensed something and raised their heads, revealing an anxious expression. They had to leave now, but the flying tiger ambassador hadn't given the order. Among the rubble of the collapsed spectator stand, the flying tiger ambassador used his aura to shake off the rocks that were pressing on his body. Rocks of all sizes flew all over the sky. Both of his eyes were not damaged, but he was in so much pain that he was tearing up. At the same time, his lower body was burnt black. It seemed like even if he didn't become a eunuch, he was still heavily injured. As for the City Mistress Fallen Flowers' aurora, it only burnt the skin on his head and face slightly, but it didn't seem like he was seriously injured. The flying tiger ambassador was extremely furious. He shouted at Yu Yang angrily, "If I have enough time, I will definitely tear you into pieces." He jumped back to the center of the arena like lightning and grabbed the substitute who was impersonating by Yunfei. He took the lead and flew towards the dissipating black pillar of light. Before he left, he turned his head and glared at Yu Yang angrily. If you have the guts, chase after me. I will wait for you at the ancient passage. We will fight one-on-one. If you win, you can take away all the people that we have captured. Do you have the guts to chase after me? Yu Yang, the mysterious beauty Wu Xia, and the sickly beauty Wu Hen looked at each other and flew into the sky at the same time. Princess Sisai purposely slowed down and waited for City Mistress Fallen Flowers. Shui Tanlang didn't chase after them like Yu Yang did. Instead, he released a bone-chilling tornado and attacked the second Mei brother who was flying into the sky. He was prepared to stop this Eastern Goblin tribesman at all costs. On the other side, the Dragon Spear Lady also intercepted the eldest Mei brother of the Mei Hua brothers. As long as these two Eastern Goblin tribesmen didn't leave before the black pillar of light disappeared, they would definitely die in the soaring dragon continent. The Heavenly Imperial Guardians and the other rankers would definitely not let them go after they recovered. The second Mei brother took on Shui Tanlang's tornado and flew into the sky. Yu Yang used a spherical beheader on the back of the second Mei brother's head. The second Mei brother groaned in pain, but he still took on the attack and flew into the black pillar of light. Princess Qian Qian waved her greatsword. Maida, who had just gotten rid of the Dragon Spear Girl's attack, was hit by Princess Qian Qian's heavy sword. Maida also wanted to take the attack head-on, but the mysterious beauty Wu Xia, who had disguised herself as Yu Bing, attacked his ears with lightning and ice. The second Mei brother was in extreme pain. He swung his claws wildly, but they were easily blocked by the crystal shield condensed by sickly beauty. The Dragon Spear Lady and Shui Tanlang were below, while Yu Yang and City Mistress Fallen Flowers' double aurora was above them. The Dragon Spear Lady's meteor-like fists landed heavily on the life gate acupuncture point on the back of the second Mei brother when Wu Xia's attack was successful. Shui Tanlang's ice storm covered the sky and the earth, blasting the second Mei brother's body 2 meters away. In the sky, 2 rays of double aurora that were 10 times more terrifying than Aurora were released by Yu Yang and City Mistress Fallen Flowers. The double aurora gradually merged into a giant pillar of light, blasting the second Mei brother 100 meters away. The double aurora's destructive double aurora blasted the second Mei brother 100 meters away. The collapsed rock stands turned into ashes under the double aurora. After the dazzling light faded, Yu Yang realized that the second Mei brother was still alive inside the giant crater. He had returned to his original form. It was a giant plum leopard that was covered with cuts and bruises. From head to tail, it was 20 meters long. Its body was like a small mountain. The lightning leopards in the soaring dragon continent couldn't even compare to it. Even if it was a giant mammoth or a battle kodo beast, they would still pale in comparison to the plum leopard that the second Mei brother had transformed into. No wonder they couldn't kill it no matter how hard they tried. It turned out that the Eastern Goblin tribe's true form was so huge. The Dragon Spear Lady originally wanted to chase after the strong enemy with Yu Yang. Now that she saw it, she immediately waved her hands towards Yu Yang and said, "You guys chase after it. I'll take care of this big fellow. Shui Tanlang, quickly go and call the old fox back. This big fellow isn't that easy to kill." From the Dragon Spear Lady's body, a cute little panda jumped out and gave Yu Yang an "I'm very powerful" expression. Nyonyo will definitely help Mommy defeat this big baddie. When brother comes back, you must reward Nyonyo with a lot of candies. Yu Yang had already prepared for this panda girl. In any case, she was as greedy as Yu Shuang, that little girl. A lollipop that he made himself was basically an invincible weapon to them. Yu Yang coaxed the little lowly. As expected of a Grandmaster-level character, he actually carried lollipops with him. Once this thing appeared, Panda Girl's favorability towards him immediately increased by 100 points, and her battle power increased by 1,000 points. The girls, on the other hand, were greatly shocked by him. Why did this brat carry lollipops with him? Could it be that he was prepared to abduct the little lowly anytime and anywhere? Scram! Little kids will have cavities if they eat too much candy. Drunken cat, who had disguised herself as the Dragon Spear Lady, was extremely dissatisfied with Yu Yang abducting her precious daughter, Nyonyo. I'll give you some wine. Yu Yang was prepared to abduct Drunken Cat as well. Who would drink wine in the middle of a battle? Drunken Cat was going crazy. She originally wanted to smash the wine that Yu Yang threw at her, but seeing that it was a good wine, she couldn't bear to smash it. Let's chase it quickly. The pillar of light is going to disappear soon. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia was the first to rush into the black pillar of light, followed by sickly beauty and Princess Sisai. Yu Yang pulled city mistress Fallen Flowers, and when the gigantic plum leopard was about to jump, he gave it another spherical beheader. Yu Yang and Fallen Flowers were sent flying into the black pillar of light, while the gigantic plum leopard fell to the ground in midair. When it was about to jump again, the black pillar of light and the rune circle had already disappeared. The gigantic plum leopard roared in grief, its voice shaking the heavens and the earth, resounding through the clouds. Shuetan Lang and Drunken Cat looked at each other. This time, the Eastern Goblin tribe had invaded the soaring dragon continent, and they had finally intercepted one. Although it was only a guard-ranked plum leopard, it was still better than nothing. They believed that they could obtain a lot of clues from this plum leopard. After entering the black pillar of light, Yu Yang, Princess Sisai, and the others realized that they had been teleported to a gigantic dark passage. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia frowned. This is not Tong Tian Tower. This is still the soaring dragon continent. If I'm not wrong, this is Death Canyon. We are currently at the ancient passage outside of God's ruins. It would not be easy for the rankers from the other realms of Tong Tian Tower to come to the soaring dragon continent. They would have to enter the ancient passage and teleport out. This ancient passage is the only place where they can travel across realms. Of course, it would not be easy for them to enter this place. They would need a large amount of blood sacrifice to open the teleportation door of the ancient passage. Is it the same as the Demon King from the Demon Abyss coming here through a blood sacrifice? Yu Yang remembered that during the battle at Whitestone City, Xiahua had used a blood sacrifice to summon the Demon King Ha Xian. No. Sickly Beauty waved her hands and said, the creatures from the Demon Abyss would not be able to come to the soaring dragon continent easily. They could easily go to every floor of Tong Tian Tower, but they could not come out at will, just like how we cannot go to the Demon Abyss at will. If the Demon King came here, he must have come to the soaring dragon continent to train before. He must have left all kinds of marks here, and his devout believers would sacrifice their lives as a guide. Only then would he be able to come here. The stronger the creature, the more difficult it would be to cross over. If a creature as strong as the Demon King had never been to the soaring dragon continent before, then if he wanted to come here, he would probably need tens of thousands or even tens of 1MO abyss creatures to open the teleportation space. Moreover, he would need someone to guide him here. If there were no traders in the soaring dragon continent, strong enemies like the Demon King and the Eastern Goblin tribe would not be able to come here. I found blood stains. Princess Sisai's sixth senses were sharp. She immediately discovered the blood stains not far away. Looks like we did not deviate from the ancient passage. We are right behind the enemy. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia looked at Yu Yang. Are you sure you want to unseal your innate strength later? But your recovery period is not over yet. I'm fine. Yu Yang also knew how scary it was to forcefully unseal his innate strength. He could explode and die anytime. However, he believed in his ability to control himself. As long as he did not lose control of his mind, his body should not explode. Furthermore, with the help of the 4 strong women, Yu Yang was more at ease to unseal his innate strength. Even if he fought to his limit, they could still bring him away and heal him at the same time. Since he did not have any worries, why not fight with all his might? Yu Yang did not unseal his innate strength in the champion arena because it would take too long to do so. He reckoned that the Eastern Goblin tribe would have already left by the time he finished unsealing his innate strength. Now that he had already chased them into the ancient passage, as long as he caught up with the Flying Tiger Ambassador and unsealed his innate strength, they would definitely not be able to escape. While Yu Yang was discussing with the four women, the sound of flying wind came from afar. Was it an enemy? Or was it a terrifying monster that lived in the ancient passage and never saw the light of day? Chapter 250. The Ancient Passage. In this huge, ancient passage, if humans looked around, they would realize that they were actually very small. The passage was so far away that it could not be seen. It was more than 100 meters wide. Between the walls of the passage, there were many stone rooms that were as big as the champion's arena, but no one knew what they were used for. Faintly glowing crystals were embedded in the walls at regular intervals. They were embedded in the walls or at the corners to provide illumination. The ancient passage was so big, but it was not straight. Occasionally, there would be giant stone steps of different heights, rising and falling. The passage often turned left and right, like a snake winding around. What caught Yu Yang's attention the most were the carvings on the walls of the passage. They were all over the walls and could be found everywhere. Everyone stop and look at these carvings. Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. Maybe these carvings were knots. He signaled the four girls not to chase after them. These carvings were very similar to the carvings that Yu Yang saw in the 12 zodiac temples in Tongtian Tower. However, they were much bigger. Almost every god statue or god servant was 10 meters or even 100 meters tall. There were all kinds of mysterious runes or symbols like the stars in the sky. Faintly, there seemed to be some kind of connection. Yet, it also formed a bewildering mystery, which made it look very familiar. There were also some places that depicted different kinds of beasts. Most of them were strange monsters that did not exist in the soaring dragon continent. Even Wu Xia and Wu Hen, who were the most knowledgeable, did not recognize them. In comparison, those human warriors, who were depicted to be the size of rice grains, seemed so weak and insignificant. Yu Yang noticed that on some of the carvings, there were also scenes of the Eastern Goblin tribe fighting against other races. Not far away, Yu Yang saw a carving of the fire beast, golden-eyed beast, giant bear, leopard, and other Eastern Goblin tribe members massacring the demon Abyss demon army. The soaring dragon continent's demon army, which was hard to defeat, couldn't even withstand a single blow from the Eastern Goblin tribe. However, what made Yu Yang shiver the most was that at the most eye-catching part of the mural, there was a great golden-winged rock with a wingspan of tens of thousands of miles. The demon army below looked like ants. If the emperor that the fiery golden-eyes beast and the other spoke of as this golden-winged rock, then this rescue mission is really going to be tough. Yu Yang was a guy from another world. Although there weren't many legends about the great golden-winged Peng in the soaring dragon continent, he had read many books in the past, so he knew how powerful the great golden-winged Peng was. In the legends, this golden-winged Peng was not an ordinary character. It was a terrifying fiend with a wingspan of 3,360,000 miles. It devoured a dragon king and 500 little dragons every day. In Journey to the West, Golden-Winged Rock was Tathagata's uncle. He was the only super boss who could defeat Monkey Sun with his real martial arts. The Zhuangzi's free and unfettered tour also said, "There's a fish in the North Sea. Its name is Kuan." The Kuan was so big that it was unknown how many thousands of miles long it was. It transformed into a bird, and its name was Peng. The back of the Peng was thousands of miles long. It flew in anger, its wings like the clouds in the sky. It also said, "The Peng migrates to the southern underworld. The water strikes for 3,000 miles, and the Peng rises for 90,000 miles." Yu Yang casually said, not mentioning Tathagata or Monkey Sunday. He only said that the golden-winged rock devoured 500 dragons every day. This also scared the four girls. Princess Sisai reacted and firmly expressed her disbelief. "Impossible. How can there be a bird with a wingspan of 3,360,000 miles? Then no matter where it flies, the sky won't be able to contain it. It's even more impossible for it to eat 500 dragons every day. Even if it could eat 500 dragons, there aren't enough dragons in the world for it to eat. Then it would starve to death." "You little liar, trying to scare us again. I don't believe you. Yu Yang waved his hands. Actually, that dragon isn't like the golden dragons or black dragons with big bellies. It's a giant python dragon king that is 1,000 miles long and can lie at the bottom of the sea. It's said that the golden winged rock's daily appetite is one giant python dragon king and 500 little dragons as snacks. When Princess Sisai heard this, she couldn't help but laugh. That's even more impossible. Incomparably huge, that's for sure. I don't think it's as exaggerated as what he said. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia helped Yu Yang to smooth things over. If the fiery golden eyes beast emperor is the golden winged rock, then how are we going to fight it? When City Mistress Fallen Flowers saw the huge picture on the wall, she felt a chill in her heart. In this picture, the golden winged rock had a wingspan of 100 meters when it spread its wings, while the Demon King and Lich King were only a few meters tall. The Demon Marshal was only as tall as a person, the Demon Commander was only as big as a fist, and the Demon General was only as big as a finger. As for normal demons and monsters, they were existences like ants. If this picture really reflected the difference in strength with Yu Yang and the four girls' current level, if they ran into the Eastern Goblin Tribe's territory and saw the golden winged rock, they would probably not even be able to serve as food for it. We definitely won't be able to defeat it now. Even if we escape, we won't be able to. Yu Yang was very nervous. Even Monkey Sun couldn't defeat it. How could he possibly defeat it? Then what should we do? City Mistress Fallen Flowers was even more nervous. Now that they had chased it all the way to the ancient passage, did they have to retreat halfway? King against king, general against general. We are at the level of soldiers, so of course we will be fighting against the opponent's soldiers. Yu Yang comforted her. Furthermore, there are different types of golden winged rock. They are also called golden winged birds. They are divided into egg, viviparous, wet, and metamorphosed. Egg golden winged birds are egg-eating dragons. Viviparous golden winged birds are egg-eating and viviparous dragons. Wet golden winged birds are egg-eating, viviparous, and wet golden winged birds. As for metamorphosed golden winged birds, they eat whatever they can get their hands on. The strongest golden winged rock has a wingspan of 3,360,000 miles. The smallest golden winged bird might only have a wingspan of 336 meters. Even a wingspan of 336 meters can't beat it. Princess Sisai laughed and waved her hands. For example, Bai Yunfei's gold dragon, a gold-ranked level 7, had a wingspan of 20 meters, which was already terrifying enough. If a golden winged rock with a wingspan of 336 meters appeared, what kind of concept would that be? There was no need to fight at all. As long as it flapped its wings, an army would probably be blown away. City Mistress Fallen Flowers became more and more curious as she listened. She asked, if you know about egg-eating and viviparous, then what are wet birth and metamorphosed? Yu Yang threw his school bag again. Wet birth is also called karma birth. It is born from moisture, just like the various kinds of insects in the world. As for metamorphosed, it means that there was originally nothing, but it was suddenly born because of some kind of power. Or it could be that the soul state suddenly changed into someone or something. Of course, this kind of explanation is not very accurate, but it's more or less like this. As he said this, his heart suddenly trembled. Thinking back to the big lowly in his dream world, which was formed by the sword goddess using sword chi, could this be considered as metamorphosed? If the big lowly in his dream world was the most powerful metamorphosed, then what about the sword goddess who created her? A small creator? Thinking about it again, she was the flying sword that he had robbed from the old Taoist priest. If that was the case, what kind of existence did the old Taoist priest belong to? Damn it, this old Taoist priest might be a powerful person. At the same time, he might even have a bad taste in role-playing, purposely pretending to be a poor old Taoist priest to deceive him. As Yu Yang thought of this, he suddenly felt like he had been cheated. Did the old Taoist priest make him come to the soaring dragon continent so that he could clean up the mess? This damned old fellow. He made a mess here, yet he wanted him to clean up the mess. Yu Yang's anger immediately rose. Luckily, the old Taoist priest was not here. Otherwise, he would definitely beat the old Taoist priest up. He had never seen such an irresponsible deity before. "What's wrong with you?" City Mistress Fallen Flower saw that Yu Yang was deep in thought for a long time, without any reaction. So she quickly patted his shoulder. "Did you think of something?" "It's nothing." Yu Yang quickly changed the topic. "The Great Golden Winged Rock is a super big boss. It's for us to challenge in the future. We probably won't meet it now. However, any monster that comes out from the Easter Goblin tribe is very scary. For example, the fiery golden eyes beast and the flying tiger are at most other people's mouths. They are very low-level existences. It's fine if we meet them, but if we meet the masters on their backs, it would be a headache. I hope they don't have any masters. I heard the sound of something flying in front of us just now. Let's go and take a look first. I heard that there are many terrifying monsters in the ancient passage. We have to be careful." Sickly Beauty Wu Hen, who had been silent all this while, suddenly reminded them. "I don't think so. Although this passage is big, there's no food here. If there were monsters, they would have starved to death long ago." Princess Sisai paid more attention to reality. She felt that it was impossible for there to be any monsters in the ancient passage. Yu Yang and the four girls chased after it. They followed the huge and curved passage and ran on the uneven steps for more than 10 kilometers. Suddenly, Princess Qian Qian, whose sixth senses were extremely sharp, gestured for them to stop. She sniffed with her small nose. There's a strong smell of blood in front. Soon, Yu Yang and Wu Xia also smelled it. There was a fresh smell of blood coming from afar. Yu Yang and the four girls tiptoed closer. They were surprised to see the second plum blossom lying in a pool of blood. It had returned to its original form of a giant leopard. When Yu Yang and the four girls saw this, they were incomparably shocked. Although they had stopped to look at the murals for a while, it hadn't even been 10 minutes. Who was it that could kill the second main master, who had such a strong body, within 10 minutes? Moreover, it was done without a sound. Could it be that there were terrifying monsters in the ancient passage that had never seen the light of day? City Master Fallen Flowers was not afraid of demons and monsters. However, she was a little afraid of spirits and ghosts. She was also a little afraid of the dark. When she thought of the strange death of the giant leopard, she was afraid that it might be the work of a ghost. She hugged Yu Yang's arm tightly, as if seeking his protection. Yu Yang was secretly amused by her behavior. This Fallen Flowers was usually fearless. He did not expect her to be afraid of the dark. He must bring her to a dark place in the future. That way, he would have endless luck with women. Princess Sisai did not care about ghosts at all. She even went forward to look for the cause of the second plum blossom's death. After a while, she shook her head at Yu Yang, indicating that she could not find anything. Yu Yang had level 4 divine vision. He could see the truth. He smiled and said, "Your Highness, it's all right if you can't find the cause of death. As long as you find the culprit, it's fine. Do you want me to report to you?" "Ahem. If your Highness is prepared to give me a small reward, I will tell you everything I know." Princess Sisai was a little angry when she saw his perverted look. She realized that other than laughing at her, he was also asking for a reward and teasing her. She immediately raised her fist and lightly punched his chest. "There was a reward, but now it's cancelled. Don't bother with this bad-tempered princess. She is a tigress. Don't provoke her so easily. Moreover, you're my personal guard captain. You can just report to me if there's anything." Luohua City Mistress loved to see Princess Qian Qian being humiliated the most and laughed out loud. It should be an internal injury. The second plum blossom returned to his original form. There were no injuries on the surface. The enemy used some unknown method to kill him. It caused serious internal injuries. Wu Xia tried to guess. There were no injuries on the surface. How could there be so much blood? Sickly Beauty Wu Xia asked. The second plum blossom didn't return to his original form. He only returned to his original form before he was killed. Due to his body's strong recovery ability, all the injuries on his body recovered by themselves. However, the real internal injuries couldn't. The cause of his death was that someone dug out an earth goblin's orb from his lower abdomen. It was similar to the demonic beast's magic crystal. However, it was not in the head. It was in the lower abdomen. Without the orb, Their bodies couldn't support their bodies, and they died. Yu Yang could see the real cause of death with his divine vision. Why would the orb be in the weak lower abdomen? Wouldn't it be better if it was in the sturdy head like the magic crystal? Princess Sisai asked confusedly. I heard that the Eastern Celestial Tribe's cultivation method is to form their orbs in the lower abdomen. Maybe the Eastern Goblin Tribe is the same. Yu Yang knew a little about cultivation, but he felt that he wouldn't be able to explain it to Princess Sisai. The more he talked, the more confused he would be. If she continued to question him, it would be terrible if he revealed the innate, invisible sword chi. He quickly changed the topic. There might be two murderers who killed the second plum blossom, and both of them are innate rancors. Did our Xia and Tian Luo Empire's heavenly imperial guardians catch up? Princess Sisai was delighted when she heard this. No, the situation might be very bad. It might be Zijin Kingdom, Western Lion Pagoda, Green Summit Sect, Thousand Goblin Sect, or Demonic Palace's innate rancors. I feel a little unfamiliar with the innate chi that was left on the second plum blossom's body. Furthermore, this innate chi is very strange. Yu Yang's expression turned serious. What he was most worried about was not the Eastern Goblin Tribe's invasion. Instead, he was worried about the mastermind behind the Eastern Goblin Tribe's invasion. He was 90% sure that the Eastern Goblin Tribe's invasion was done by Zijin Kingdom, Western Lion Pagoda, and Green Summit Sect. Maybe the Thousand Goblins Sect and Demonic Palace were also involved. They were the clearest about the changes in the soaring dragon continent. When the rancors from the Innate Alliance charged towards the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower, they immediately sent people to the Eastern Goblin Tribe to lure the Eastern Goblin Tribe over and capture Jun Weiyu and the rancors from the four great clans. They didn't even let the Eastern and Western Heavenly Kings of the Tian Luo Kingdom off. On the other hand, they secretly assassinated the second plum blossom of the Eastern Goblin Tribe and framed the Soaring Dragon Continent's innate rancors. When the Soaring Dragon Continent's innate rancors returned from the 10th floor in anger, they would meet the Eastern Goblin Tribe, who were also angry and wanted to take revenge. When the war between both sides broke out, Zijin Kingdom, Western Lion Pagoda, and Green Summit Sect will be able to reap the benefits. As for the Thousand Goblins Sect and Demonic Palace, it was impossible for them to not benefit from this. The Thousand Goblins Sect and Demonic Palace might even be the Oriole after the mantis stalks the cicada. The most worrisome thing has finally happened. In other words, the Soaring Dragon Continent will face a calamity. The enemy is definitely coming for us. Wu Xia analyzed calmly. According to the list of 10 people that the Eastern Goblin Tribe asked for, we could deduce many things. Firstly, this plan had been planned for a long time, but the decision to lead the Eastern Goblin Tribe to invade was made on the spur of the moment. The reason was that the list of 10 people were all outstanding contestants in the 100 Schools Elite Tournament. Sister Fallen Flowers, me, and Wu Hen were not chosen because the enemy couldn't find us at all. Under the emergency situation, they could only choose 10 people from the 100 Schools Elite Tournament. This was also the reason why Bing Air was chosen. She performed outstandingly in the battle against Feng Qi Sha. Hence the mastermind chose her as well. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others also performed well. Why didn't they choose them? The Eastern Goblin Tribe chose the Zijin Kingdom's prince instead. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was thinking about this breakthrough point. It might be like this. The traitors who led the Eastern Goblin Tribe to invade were not only Zijin Kingdom and the Western Lion Pagoda, but also the Thousand Goblin Sect and the Demonic Palace. Hence, the Eastern Goblin Tribe changed the list at the last minute. Also, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai did not have any background. They did not have any big clans or powers supporting them. As long as they were killed, they would have died in vain. No one would avenge them. Wu Xia's jade finger lightly touched the ancient book as she analyzed further. Maybe, when Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were escaping, Zijin Kingdom and the Western Lion Pagoda would send people to intercept them in the chaos. Of course, they wouldn't be too obvious. They might disguise themselves as the Eastern Goblin Tribe or the demons from the Demon Abyss. With the vice principal here, they wouldn't be so brazen. because the vice principal is proficient in teleportation. Even if he can't fight, he can still escape. Even if a few innates join hands, they wouldn't be able to kill him easily. Actually, we are in even more danger. Zijin Kingdom and Western Lion Pagoda's masterminds would definitely chase us into the ancient passage. They would kill Feng Qi Sha, Yin Pejun, and the others to provoke the innate alliance's anger. At the same time, they would also kill Plum Leopard, Xiongba, Flying Tiger, and Fiery Golden Eyes Beast, shifting the blame to the soaring dragon continent. Their goal is to sow discord and make both sides fight crazily. Other than rescuing the people who were captured, we also have to pay attention to our own safety, because we might also be on their kill list. Sickly Beauty Wu Hin also had extremely high intelligence. She could see the situation in front of her and think far ahead. Yu Yang knew that the situation in the soaring dragon continent was not something that he could solve alone. Separation and reunion, war and chaos. Yu Yang couldn't care less. However, he hated it when his enemies used him as a chess piece. He might not be able to change anything with his own strength. However, Yu Yang decided in his heart that no matter if he saw Zijin Kingdom, Western Lion Pagoda, Green Summit Sect, Thousand Goblin Sect, or Demonic Palace, he would kill all of them. Yu Yang hated it when he became someone else's prey the most. Forget about those fellows who wanted to kill him. Even if they dared to lay their hands on his family, he would still kill them all. Yu Yang looked calm and collected on the surface, but he was actually extremely furious in his heart. Mysterious ancient runes continuously appeared on the surface of his skin, forming a runic circle that rotated automatically as if it had a mind of its own. Yu Yang had not unsealed his innate strength yet, but the unparalleled power that could control the heavens and the earth was slowly returning to his body. Because he had overexerted his innate strength to kill Tu Cheng. After Yu Yang recovered, he could clearly feel that his own strength was being suppressed. Only now did the anger in his heart completely break through that suppression. The formless imprisonment in his body shattered like a glass wall. Yu Yang's true strength was reignited once again. Furthermore, after this period of suppression, his accumulated strength had become even stronger and more violent. Slow down, don't rush. Try to unseal your innate strength slowly. Wu Xia, who usually did not care about Yu Yang, kept reminding Yu Yang to control his state of mind and not lose control. I'm fine. Everyone hide quickly. There are people coming this way, and they're very fast. After Yu Yang's true strength had recovered, his senses far surpassed Princess Sisai's. Yu Yang and the four girls had just walked 100 meters away before they hid in a stone room at the side. Two rays of golden light shot towards them from a faraway passage. The light was dazzling and dazzling. In the end, the two rays of golden light instantly stopped above the gigantic corpse of the second plum leopard. Chapter 251. Originally, Yu Yang thought that with the plum leopard's carcass, he would be able to attract the enemy's attention, allowing him and the four girls to evade capture. Who would have thought that these two fellows were the murderers of the plum leopard? One of them, a young man with a jade-like face, sniffled. His purple eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule. I was wondering why there was a strange smell. Turns out there were a few mice chasing us. It's been a long time since I caught mice to play with. It's still the same rules. The girls are yours, the boys are mine. The other person was a sturdy man with a curly beard. The jade-like young man summoned a platinum grimoire, summoning a snow-white, oddly shaped beast. It looked like a rabbit, but also a fox, with an extremely sensitive sense of smell. It easily found the hiding place of Yu Yang and the four girls. City Mistress Fallen Flowers' three-tailed snow fox was extremely angry at the appearance of this oddly shaped beast. It was usually kind and quiet, but it actually had the urge to tear the opponent apart. The oddly shaped beast that looked like a rabbit, but also a fox, hissed in a low voice, as if it also had the desire to kill the three-tailed snow fox. The young man and the sturdy man with a curly beard, whose entire body was shining with golden light, appeared at the entrance of the stone room with a smile on their faces. Especially when he saw the four girls behind Yu Yang, The jade-like young man's smile became even sweeter. For unopened females, and they're all top-quality virgins. Not bad. I've long been tired of those fake virgins' blood. I didn't think that I would have such a great harvest today, getting 4 top-quality virgins at once. TSK, TSK. I can't wait to taste the blood of top-quality virgins. Compared to women who are born to be traitors, I prefer top-quality men. A man's body and soul are not easy to obtain, but once they are obtained, they will be incomparably loyal, unlike those fickle women who would throw themselves into someone else's embrace anytime. The sturdy man with a curly beard looked at Yu Yang and swallowed his saliva. Yu Yang turned out to be someone who was not afraid of anything, but this guy's gaze made him feel a chill in his heart and his anus tighten. Meeting these 2 perverts, he was really speechless. Originally, Yu Yang had wanted to get a few words out of these 2, but now it seemed that there was no need. The sooner he killed these 2 fellows, the more peaceful the world would be. The 4 women's faces were as cold as frost. They knew the strength of the people who came. Both of them were inborn experts, but it didn't mean that they would be afraid. Speaking of perverts, no one was more perverted than Yu Yang. Of course, Yu Yang was only abnormally strong. His sexual orientation was still very normal. Almost at the same time, they all took a step forward and stood behind Yu Yang. With him as the center, their fragrant bodies pressed against each other and relaxed their minds, allowing his true energy to flow around their bodies. This brat was an expert in body fusion technique. If they let go of their reservations and cooperated with him, then their battle prowess would at least increase by several times. Facing a strong enemy with a perverted mentality, the 4 women would usually throw tantrums at Yu Yang, but they would never throw a tantrum with him at this moment. City Mistress Fallen Flowers gently hugged Yu Yang's left hand, her white fingers intertwined with his. Princess Isai was on Yu Yang's right side, her small hands clenched into fists, but were wrapped by Yu Yang's big hands. Sickly Beauty Wu Hen was behind. She shyly hugged Yu Yang. The mysterious Beauty Wu Xia was in front. She was half nestled in Yu Yang's embrace. One of her slender palms was placed on Yu Yang's heart, while the other palm was slightly facing outwards, faintly carrying a defensive stance. It couldn't be seen on the surface, but Yu Yang's innate qi was divided into thin streams and flowed through their meridians. The young man who liked to feast on the blood of virgins didn't know that Yu Yang could transmit innate qi, so he didn't care about Yu Yang's intimate actions with the 4 women at all. He chuckled and said, "Mr. Duanmu, women are naturally promiscuous and fickle, but as long as you can find virgins and destroy their virginity, you can kill them and drink their blood dry. Then, you won't have to worry about them betraying you. Mr. Luha, everyone has their own preferences. I like this swirling chrysanthemum. How could this treasure be inferior to your favorite spring water jade pot?" The curly-bearded man was a little dissatisfied. He stretched out his finger and said, "The 4 women are yours. I like this little boy. Don't hurt him. Mr. Duanmu, don't worry. I won't spoil the fun." The handsome young man shook his head and looked at Princess Sisai and the others with his lustful eyes. "That's for the best." The curly-bearded man also looked at Yu Yang without restraint. "Facing such exquisite beauty, I can't wait to enjoy it. Mr. Duanmu, you take your little boy. I'll take my little virgin." The handsome young man didn't put Yu Yang and the 4 women in his eyes at all. It was as if Yu Yang and the 4 women were fish waiting to be slaughtered. He suddenly summoned his platinum grimoire and quickly summoned a golden figure. In an instant, the golden figure shattered like a mirror, and light shot out in all directions. City Mistress Fallen Flowers summoned her grimoire, but she didn't expect to feel dizzy. The spirit of her grimoire was actually disrupted by some kind of power. It seemed like it was the effect of the golden figure's light after it shattered. This golden light was even more terrifying than the pollution monster's spiritual energy isolation. At most, the pollution monster could only isolate the grimoire, but it didn't have a strong effect. Now, this shattered figure not only interfered with her spirit. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers wanted to summon her grimoire, it also stimulated her head like needles, causing her great pain. The young man with a jade-like face laughed out loud. Little beauties, don't struggle anymore. You have to follow me obediently. Don't accidentally scratch your faces and make my heart ache. A peerless face like yours is definitely my most precious collection. Even if it's just a little scratch, my heart will ache to death. As long as I can perfectly peel off your skin and make it into a work of art, that's my supreme pursuit. It's also the whole meaning of your existence in this world. If you serve me wholeheartedly, I promise that I won't kill you before I'm tired of playing with you. I'll let you live for at least another year. How about it? You have to know that I've never been so merciful before. You're all too perfect. I can't bear to kill you. You have to be obedient and come over. There's no meaning in fighting with a level 3 innate rancor like me. Come and serve me. I promise that I'll give you the greatest happiness. Hey! Princess Sisai's reply was very simple. She spat disdainfully. As for the mysterious beauty Wu Xia and the sickly beauty Wu Hen, they completely treated this Lu Ha as a clown and completely ignored him. Luo Hua city mistress suddenly reached out her hands boldly and held Yu Yang's face. Her fragrant lips moved closer and quickly kissed the corner of his lips. My personal guard captain, this is the kiss that I, the city mistress, bestow upon you as a reward. You immediately go and beat that damned crow into a mute. I hate crows that croak the most. How unlucky. Princess Sisai encouraged him from the other side. Just beating him into a mute is not enough. Pluck out all of his feathers. Yu Yang sweated profusely when he heard this. Plucking feathers seemed to be a little difficult. He quickly wiped his sweat and said, Your Highness, plucking feathers is fine, but can I roast a bird? Where I find the time to pluck feathers one by one. Speaking of roasting a bird, my skills are actually not bad. It can even be considered as one of kind. Why don't I show it to you? Who asked you to do that? Your thoughts are really too dirty. I told you to cripple him, as crippled as you can. Don't talk nonsense anymore. When Princess Sisai heard the ambiguity in his words just now, her jade-like face immediately turned crimson red. She punched him fiercely with her small fist. If it wasn't for the fact that she was afraid that it would affect his battle later, she would definitely beat him until he suffered internal injuries. Understood. Yu Yang pretended to be serious and said to Lu Ha, You can lie down now. What did you say? Lu Yi's face was so cold that a layer of ice could be scraped off. I said, You can lie down and wait for your death. Just as Yu Yang finished speaking, that Lu Yi's fist had already brought along the force of wind and lightning, smashing towards Yu Yang like a thunderbolt. However, a protective shield expanded on Yu Yang's body. It pushed Lu Yi's fist away. Yu Yang raised his eyebrows. Lu Ha, who claimed to be a level 3 innate, was unable to break the protective shield. Although he did not use all of his strength, it proved that there was still a gap between him and the Demon King Ha Xin. Since the protective shield could block his attack, then he didn't need to worry about the 4 girls' safety. He could attack without any worries. When the curly sideburns man saw that Yu Yang could still summon his grimoire, he frowned. It's really strange that a silver grimoire can be summoned under the interference of the golden brain light. Yu Yang smiled slyly. There's still many strange things. When you go down to hell, you can slowly ask the King of Hell. On Yu Yang's left side, Fallen Flowers City, who was originally unable to summon her grimoire, also raised a protective shield. Moreover, it overlapped with Yu Yang's protective shield. At the same time, Princess Sisai, Wu Xia, and Wu Hen's grimoires were all summoned. Naturally, they overlapped with each other, forming a perfect 5-layered protective shield. In the sky, because of the fusion of energy, there was a rainbow light flickering. The ancient runic circle that Yu Yang had hidden, those mysterious runic circles, actually appeared on the surface of the protective shield, revolving around each other, as if they were alive. Seeing that there was a protective shield blocking him, Lu Ha laughed coldly. I will wait here. Let's see how long you can last. The curly sideburns man also shook his head slowly. Leave it to me. Under my attacks, I believe that this 5-layered protective shield will completely collapse in at most 5 minutes. 5 minutes? You must be dreaming. Yu Yang laughed. The ancient runic circle that was originally hidden quickly appeared, its aura exploding 1,000 times. Yu Yang did not even use the Hui Jin magic blade that he usually used. Instead, he directly rushed out of the protective shield. When Lu He, who had also unsealed his innate level 1 strength, attacked with lightning speed, Yu Yang's right hand suddenly ignited with Nirvana's flame. Ever since he killed Tu Cheng and Quang Zhan, he had been suppressing his strength. In 1,000th of a second, he unsealed his innate status. The aura in his body once again exploded 1,000 times. The Nirvana's flame raged and enveloped Yu Yang's entire body as if it had a life of its own. The clothes on his body instantly turned into ashes, but his body that had forcefully unsealed his innate status did not explode under the Nirvana's flame. Instead, it increased his strength rapidly. Before Lu He's fist could reach Yu Yang's face, it had already been grabbed by Yu Yang's right hand. Lu He turned pale with fright. Nirvana's flame was the existence that he feared the most. That curly sideburns man was also stunned. He shouted loudly, "That's Nirvana's flame! Run quickly!" Yu Yang did not speak, but his eyes that were filled with killing intent told Lu He fact. That was the arrival of death. Lu He exploded crazily, tried to raise his strength to innate level 3 and shake off Yu Yang's hand. While he was still in extreme pain, he despaired as he saw a world-exterminating wheel formed by ancient runes. It was shining brightly and was getting closer and closer. The shadow of death that had never appeared before instantly appeared in his heart. It's over. Nirvana's flame, in addition to world-exterminating wheel, it was definitely over. Chapter 252. If the curly sideburn muscular man did not rush over to save him, Lu He would definitely be dead. The curly sideburn muscular man rushed over like lightning. In a moment of desperation, he did not even have time to react. He could only grab Lu He's hair and pull him back with all his might. His other hand was like a sharp blade, fiercely slashing Lu He's arm that was burning with Nirvana flame. The arm that was grabbed by Yu Yang's right hand was chopped off. It was cut off at the shoulder and blood splattered everywhere. Lu He was in extreme pain, but he was still able to react. He raised his leg and kicked Yu Yang's chest. This kick was not to counterattack Yu Yang, but to use the momentum to escape. Yu Yang's left hand swung the world-exterminating wheel in front of him lightly. Lui's legs were cut off at the hip. Under Yu Yang's control, the world-exterminating wheel flew towards Lu He and the curly sideburn muscular man again. Although the curly sideburn muscular man risking his life to save them was out of Yu Yang's expectations, under the double attack of the world-exterminating wheel and Nirvana flame, the curly sideburn muscular man's arrival would only bring one more person to his death. There was no chance of survival. Yu Yang reckoned that even if these two fellows dodged the world-exterminating wheel, they would not be able to escape from his Nirvana flame. Almost at the same time, Lu He and the curly sideburn muscular man summoned their platinum grimoire. Their shields rose at the same time. However, it did not stop the world-exterminating wheel from approaching them. The world-exterminating wheel was like a ray of light passing through a glass. There was no obstruction at all. It and the grimoire's light shield did not clash with each other. It was as if they were born with the same type of energy. It passed through the shield silently and shot towards Lu He and the curly sideburn muscular man at the same speed. Lu He and the curly sideburn muscular man fell to the ground at the same time. The world-exterminating wheel flew past their heads. It flew 100 meters away. The world-exterminating wheel disintegrated and turned into countless ancient runes. It floated back into Yu Yang's body. "Fire! Fire! Your arm is already stained with Nirvana flame." Lu He realized that the arm that the curly bearded man used to grab his hair was burning, and he screamed in fear. Hiding within the barrier, he wouldn't have suffered any damage. However, Nirvana's flame was not included. Even within the protective shield, the Nirvana flame that could purify everything in the world was not affected at all, just like the world-exterminating wheel. The curly sideburns muscular man knew that it was because he was saving Lu He. If he did not cut off his arm as soon as possible, this nirvana flame would become bigger and bigger. It would spread to his arm, shoulder, and then his whole body. In the end, it would completely destroy him. He clenched his teeth and used his other hand to shoot out a sharp blade aura from his closed fingertips, ruthlessly cutting off his burning arm. In just one strike, the innate rancor Lu He and the curly-bearded man had been turned into two severely injured and bloodied cripples. Under the attack of the world-exterminating wheel and Nirvana's flame, even though they were innate level 3, they had no chance of defending themselves. Lu He was only left with his left arm. Of course, his life was snatched back by the curly sideburns muscular man. Otherwise, he would have been dead long ago. The curly sideburns muscular man was also forced to cut off his right arm because of the Nirvana's flame. At this moment, the two of them were covered in blood, looking battered and exhausted. It's so painful. Louis's face contorted in pain. He floated in the air, still in a state of shock. Using his left hand to support his platinum grimoire, he summoned a ball of light to stop the blood that was spurting out. He then summoned an octopus-like monster and forcefully fused it with his body, causing his arms and legs to grow tentacles that looked like an octopus. The two of us did not know that you were the incarnation of a Pinnacle Realm senior, and thought that you were a junior from the Soaring Dragon continent. We offended you with our words. Please be magnanimous and spare our lives. If you spare our lives, we are willing to kowtow and worship you to thank you for saving our lives. The curly sideburns muscular man did not even care about the blood that was flowing out of his body. He first apologized to Yu Yang. Your surname is Duan Mu. What's your name? Yu Yang knew that these two fellows had misunderstood him, so he played along. I am Duan Mu Fei Wei, the younger brother of the Green Summit sect leader, Duan Mu Long Cheng. My ancestor is Duan Mu Ke. This is Lu He's ancestor, Machi Li Mia. He and my ancestor, Duan Mu Ke, were the founders of the Green Summit sect. The curly sideburns muscular man hurriedly reported his real name and family background. In the world of innate rancors, power was the most important. The strongest could do whatever they wanted, but if they did not have enough power, then family background was also very important. Maybe if there was someone among the ancestors who reported their family background, then the opponent might have some misgivings about their family background and give them some face. I don't know them. Yu Yang spoke the truth. He really did not know any Duan Mu Ke or Machi Li Mia. He had only heard that these two fellows were traitors of the Yu clan. Once he said this, the curly sideburns muscular man and Lu He were scared half to death. In their eyes, a rancor who did not know their ancestor, Machi Li Mia and Duan Mu Ke, and who could control Nirvana's flame and world-exterminating wheel, was most likely a rancor from 1,000 years ago. Maybe this old fellow who had disguised himself as a junior had been wandering around the outer realm of Tong Tian Tower and had never returned to the Soaring Dragon continent. He also did not participate in the Innate Alliance. The curly sideburns muscular man and Lu He thought for a while. Indeed, they had never heard of any rancor who could control world-exterminating wheel and Nirvana's flame at the same time. There were a few extremely strong rancors who possessed world-exterminating wheel, but Nirvana's flame was only a legend among the innate rancors. No one possessed Nirvana's flame. The few peak rancors among the innate rancors possessed the rebirth sacred flame, heaven-burning flame, hell calamity flame, and demonic blood flame that were close to Nirvana's flame. There were even some rancors who possessed the martial god's true flame. However, the Nirvana's flame that could never be extinguished was only a legend. Today, the curly sideburns muscular man and Lu He knew that they had run into an iron plate the moment the Nirvana's flame appeared in the hands of this peak-level senior, who could even disguise his life ripples. Offending an unimaginably strong senior, the curly sideburns muscular man and Lu He felt as if their scalps were going to explode in despair. Innate rancors could do whatever they wanted. Forget about being offended. Even if they were displeased, it was normal for them to kill their opponents in an instant. Now, it all depended on this senior's mood. If he was unhappy, then the two of them would definitely die. The curly sideburns muscular man knelt down and kowtowed respectfully. Senior, please spare our lives. This junior is willing to offer all of my treasures to you in order to atone for my sins. This junior is also willing to offer all of his treasures. Luha was unable to kneel down. He lowered his head and secretly observed Yu Yang and the four girls. He felt that something was wrong. If this extremely young man with life ripples was a senior in disguise, then the four girls would definitely not be able to disguise him. This was because none of them were innate rankers. None of their beasts would be able to disguise themselves in front of an innate ranker. The four girls were so young and virgins. What was their relationship with this senior? Why was it so coincidental that when the Eastern Goblin tribe attacked the soaring dragon continent, they appeared at this ancient passage? Luha suspected that these four girls were the juniors of the soaring dragon continent who chased after the Eastern Goblin tribe into the ancient passage. This senior might even be one of them. Of course, there is also the possibility that they had met this perverted senior who loved to pretend to be young in the ancient passage. The possibility of this perverted senior pretending to be young was higher. This was because he had never heard of such a young innate in the soaring dragon continent. He had also never heard of an innate in his 20s who could possess world-exterminating wheel and nirvana flame. He could even kill two innates in one move. Luha regretted his actions when he saw the bewildering scene in front of him. If only he knew more about the situation in the soaring dragon continent. Who would have thought that they would meet such a strange situation when they just returned from the Qilon continent? A 20s innate, was he a super genius, or was this senior pretending to be young? Thank you, senior, for your mercy. The curly sideburn muscular man did not think too much. He was a qualified innate. He respected the strong. No matter what kind of person his opponent was, as long as he could kill him in one move, he would be a peak innate. He would be a respectable senior. The curly sideburn muscular man would never imagine that a 20-year-old innate could kill two people in one move. He would also never think that a 20-year-old innate could control the world-exterminating wheel and the legendary nirvana flame that only innate level 5 and above could control freely. There were many innate rankers who had flames similar to nirvana flame. However, the curly sideburn muscular man had only seen the nirvana flame that was eternal and undying in his entire life. Legend had it that as long as one's body or soul had a trace of sin, the nirvana flame would completely destroy one's body and soul. Only a ranker who did not have any sin, or a ranker whose soul and body could transcend sin, a godlike ranker, could truly use the nirvana flame. Fight with an innate ranker who possessed nirvana flame and world-exterminating wheel? That would be the stupidest move. The curly sideburn muscular man was very respectful and obedient as he prepared to offer the best treasures in his heart. However, that Luha did not. Luha thought secretly, no matter if the senior was a peak ranker or not, he still needed to protect the four girls. As long as he escaped from this part of the ancient passage, he would be able to leave through the ancient teleportation circle. This old fellow would definitely not abandon the four girls and chase after him, especially when he could still do that. He pretended that he was going to offer all his treasures as well. However, at the same time that he summoned a black-feathered angel, his tentacle-like right arm and legs were like whips, fiercely whipping the curly sideburn muscular man's defenseless back. The curly sideburn muscular man was sent flying, allowing his companion to fly towards Yu Yang. Luha took advantage of the momentum and flew into the sky. The black-feathered angel that he had just summoned fused with Luhi's body the moment he flew into the sky. Huge black wings grew out from Luhi's back. The black wings spread out. After fusing with the wings, Luhi's speed that was originally as fast as lightning increased by more than 10 times. At the same time, Yang seemed to have known that Luha would escape. A pair of phoenix-like fire wings grew out from his back as well, formed by nirvana flame. With a flap of the wings, he had already caught up to Luha. Just when Luha was about to attack with all his might and fear, he discovered that his entire body was bound by an irresistible force, although it was only for 3 seconds. However, it was enough for Yu Yang to use his right hand that was burning with nirvana flame to choke him by the neck. He pulled him back like a little chick and threw him at the feet of the curly, sideburn, muscular man. Why? Your father asked me to take care of you. I'm like an elder brother. For the past 200 years, I have been risking my life to protect you. Just now, I even crippled an arm for you. Machi Luha, why are you doing this to me? Blood flowed out of the curly, sideburn, muscular man's mouth. However, the pain in his heart could not be compared to the pain in his body. The comrade that he risked his life to save had betrayed him. He saw this comrade as his younger brother. Just now, this comrade had risked his life to save him. However, at the critical moment of life and death, this comrade gave him a heavy blow and sent him flying towards the enemy, taking the opportunity to escape. I was wrong, I was wrong. I am in so much pain. Save me, save me. Luhi's neck and chest were sizzling from the nirvana flame. His death was imminent. Innate strength was unable to stop the nirvana flame from burning. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? The curly, sideburn, muscular man raised his remaining arm with a face full of sorrow. He was prepared to end Luhi's life and free him. Who knew that Luha would suddenly pounce on the curly, sideburn, muscular man and hug him tightly? In an instant, he burned the nirvana flame on his body onto the other party's body. His face was extremely ferocious. If I die, you, a dog slave, will die with me. Your Dwanmu clan is just a dog of our Machi clan. Do you think that just because my father passed the position of clan leader to Dwanmu Long Chung, your Dwanmu clan's lowly status will change? Damn dog slave. If I can't live, don't even think about living. Die with me. The curly, sideburn, muscular man started to fly into a rage, following which his face revealed a tinge of sorrow. My Dwanmu clan thought that by dutifully assisting your Machi clan, we would be able to become a person, a brother of your Machi clan. Who would have thought that after doing so much, we're still just dogs? Haha, ancestor above, if you were to see this scene today, what would you say? Ancestor, ancestor, why didn't you be a loyal brother back then? Why did you become a traitor who betrayed your elder brother? Do you know that even after 1,000 years, your descendants are still unable to wash away the shame of being traitors? Even today, we, who are loyal and devoted, are still dogs in the eyes of others. Why did you choose this path? Why? Yu Yang raised both of his hands, and the nirvana flame on the curly, sideburn, muscular man and Luhi's body were all retracted. Do you want to be burnt to death by the nirvana flame? That would be a comfortable death. These two people were both descendants of traitors. Yu Yang decided to watch them fight each other, because that kind of death was the true tragic ending of traitors. You don't want to be a dog slave? Then I'll give you a chance. The smile on Yu Yang's face was even scarier than a demon's smile. You want to kill me? Dream on. The one who will die is you. Lu He was severely burned, and he looked like a ferocious ghost. He raised his tentacles and tightly wrapped them around the curly, sideburn, muscular man's neck. He then used his tentacle-like legs to transform into sharp-boned swords and pierce through the curly, sideburn, muscular man's chest. The curly, sideburn, muscular man seemed like he wanted to laugh out loud, but his neck was so tightly twisted that he couldn't breathe. His mouth couldn't make a single sound, but his red face was filled with a terrifying smile. He opened his mouth wide, revealing his snow-white teeth. He bit down on Luhi's burnt face, nose, ears, and neck crazily. Bite by bite, he bit Luha to death. He bit off Luhi's head from his neck. In the end, the curly, sideburn, muscular man powerlessly spat out a mouthful of stinky meat. He was on the verge of death. He knelt down respectfully towards Yu Yang and kowtowed once. His left hand became a blade and cut off his own head. The two platinum grimoire exploded and fell out of the void. The black-feathered angel, octopus, and the others exploded and died. The little fox-rabbit beast that had escaped was caught by the three-tailed snow fox at the entrance of the stone room. It was bitten by the three-tailed snow fox. The little fox-rabbit beast's body twitched nonstop. Very quickly, it was killed by the three-tailed snow fox. It died together with its master who had already betrayed it. If the heavens commit a sin, you can go against it. If you commit a sin, You can't live. Yu Yang spat at Lu He's corpse in disdain. Chapter 253. When Yu Yang was killing Lu Ha and the curly-bearded muscular man in the ancient passage, the old cunning fox was leading Yu Bing, Yu, Inan, and other students away from the Champion Arena on Champion Island, hoping to escape from the Space Seal's range and return to Ivy Academy safely. The students from Ivy Academy, Shangjing Academy, Fragrance Academy, and other academies followed closely behind the old cunning fox. A few teachers and more than 100 silver armor guards were protecting them from the front and back. In another direction, there were also teachers, referees, and silver armor guards protecting even more academy students and spectators as they left the stadium. In the chaos, countless mercenaries fled to some buildings in a panic, temporarily hiding, thinking that they would be able to escape danger this way. At this moment, as long as one was not blind, he or she could see that something was wrong. The whole sky was blood red, so red that it was strange. Leave quickly. This is the blood light of the demon sacrifice. The old cunning fox was very familiar with the situation in the demon abyss. With one look, he knew that this was the sign of the demon's invasion. With such a large-scale sacrifice, the old cunning fox estimated that there were at least 10 1MO ghosts being pushed into the bloodpool altar. Furthermore, the number of evil worshippers in the soaring dragon continent would be more than 1,000. The Eastern Goblin tribe had just invaded, and the demon abyss demon army had already arrived. This was definitely premeditated. If there were no traitors or evil worshippers in the soaring dragon continent, then no matter how strong the demon abyss demon army was, they would not easily invade the soaring dragon continent. This was not just a problem of a few evil worshippers. There was probably a huge power behind them that had silently agreed to it. It could be the demonic palace, Thousand Goblin sect, Western Lion Pagoda, or Green Summit sect. It could even be the Zijin kingdom. The old cunning fox's face darkened as he thought of this. If no one stopped them, then this Champion Island would become the demon army's bridgehead to invade the soaring dragon continent. A calamity could break out any time. Children, hurry up and leave. Soldiers, follow me. The chief referee knew that it was impossible to stop the demon army's invasion with just himself and 100 elite soldiers. However, he knew that the hope of humanity's future lay in these students. If he used the lives of these students to block the teleportation point of the malevolent army, he would become a sinner for all eternity. Although these students were all elites, they were still very young and had not truly matured. If they were to fight against the devil's army now, they would undoubtedly be sending themselves to their deaths. The most important thing now was to stop the devil's army from expanding and allow the students to leave safely. The chief referee and the 2 gold medal judges, along with the silver-armored guards, turned around and rushed towards the place where the red light was the brightest. The demon abyss's evil ghost legion had yet to be teleported out. However, they would surge out at any time. Someone had to stand up and stop them. In a small competition hall on the Champion Island, thousands of mercenaries died tragically. Corpses littered the ground and blood flowed everywhere. More than a dozen evil devil worshippers committed suicide in a frenzy, using their lives and souls as teleportation points. Several powerful shadows were watching coldly from the sidelines. All of this was orchestrated by them. When the head referee arrived with his people, they immediately sent a few people to stop them. At this time, inside the competition hall, a 20-meter-tall blood-red teleportation gate rose up. Black lightning crackled as the blood-red light in the sky formed a terrifying whirlpool, expanding the teleportation gate. An uncountable number of demons, like the tide of a tsunami, crazily rushed out from the other side of the teleportation gate. Most of them were green-skinned demons or spiral-horn demons, but there were also yellow-skinned fire demons and fang demons. About 1 demon general appeared in every 1,000 demons. From the teleportation gate, there were also black corrupted wyverns and flaming crows rushing out. On the backs of a few wyverns, there were elite magic knights and demon commanders. the scythed demons that humans were familiar with appeared. The scythed demons were usually the elite guards of a demon king. Their appearance meant that the demon king would descend upon the soaring dragon continent. The chief referee looked at the scythed demons flying in the sky from afar and felt incomparable despair. The soaring dragon continent was currently plagued by internal and external troubles. The innate rancor guarding it secretly left and was currently breaking through the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower. At the most vulnerable moment, the traitor first invited the Eastern Goblin tribe to invade and captured the rancors from Xia and Tian Luo. Then, he attracted the demon army. Kill! The chief referee looked at the traitor warriors who came to stop him. 2 of them were even friends that he knew. He couldn't help but roar in anger. The few human traitors who guided the demon army to invade laughed out loud. They had no intention of fighting the chief referee. They had already summoned their flying beasts and only flew in the sky to evade the attacks. They didn't dare to fight the chief referee and the others head-on. Roar, roar, roar. In the sky and on the ground, countless monsters from the demon abyss had already rushed out. In an instant, they drowned the chief referee and the hundreds of silver-armored guards. At this moment, in front of the old cunning fox, the 100 Transformations demon elder who was previously locked in the Xia death prison with a black iron chain pierced through her collarbone had been rescued by someone. Not only that, she had also regained her original strength. Beside her were the 3 newly promoted demon elders from the Thousand Goblins sect. Ever since Yang killed the 2 demon elders, 100 Wings and 100 Claws, the Thousand Goblins sect had promoted a few more demon elders to make up for the losses they had suffered in the battle against the Xia. Of course, the newly promoted demon elders were not as strong as the original demon elders. If Yu Yang was here, he would be able to kill them in an instant. The problem was that Yu Yang was not here. There was only the old cunning fox who had to protect hundreds of students. The 100 Transformations demon elder twisted her waist seductively and smiled. Vice Principal, it's so good to see you. I thought you had also been captured by the Eastern Goblin tribe, so I couldn't take my revenge. So it's you guys. The old cunning fox summoned his grimoire immediately. No, that's not right. Although we, the Thousand Goblin sect, like to fight amongst ourselves and make life difficult for everyone, we would not go so far as to ask outsiders for help. Furthermore, our relationship with the Eastern Goblin tribe in Tong Tian Tower is not good. We don't have any friendship with them. We despise the demon abyss creatures even more. From the sect leader to the disciples, no one would do that. You asked us why we came here. Of course it's to hit you when you're down. We are born to be bad guys. We are not good at other things, but we are good at this kind of thing. I hate the Xia kingdom, but it's a pity that I can't topple the Xia kingdom with my strength alone. Now that I have a chance to poach a little, I definitely won't let it go. Vice Principal, if you are willing to hand over the younger sister of the Hua sisters, the 4th mother who had been hiding in the Yu clan and pretending to be the 4th mistress daughter-in-law, if you are willing to hand her over, then I can let these students live. Honestly speaking, I also can't bear to see these children being eaten alive by demons. But what else can I do? I'm not the one in charge. I'm just trying to fish in troubled waters. If it wasn't for 4th Mother's condition, I would definitely not take the risk of becoming enemies with a few big powers to let you guys go. The 100 Transformations demon elder said arrogantly, but she did not dare to be careless. She knew the old cunning fox's strength. Don't even think about it. The old cunning fox's attitude was very clear. Then I can only apologize to you. The 100 Transformations demon elder waved her hand, and the 3 new demon elders summoned all kinds of strong beasts to stop the students from leaving. You guys leave immediately. The old cunning fox did not look at Yu Bing, afraid that Yu Bing would be recognized by the other party. Right now, Yu Bing was dressed like a normal female thief. She was very safe hiding in the crowd with Anan, who was dressed similarly. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the Li brothers saw the old cunning fox and a few teachers staying behind to fight against the 100 Transformations demon elder, so they hurriedly led the team and left. Now that they had no army and teachers, they could only rely on themselves. In the distant sky, they could already see demons with wings flying towards them. Yi Kong roared, Go, let's leave this place. He summoned the King Kong demon ape and fused it with him. He then summoned the gigantic Herculean rhinoceros beetle, leading the way. The Lee brothers also summoned the gold ant soldiers to strengthen their bodies and followed closely behind. Fatty did not do this. He hid in the crowd, secretly protecting Yu Bing, Inan, Yu, and the other girls. The students from the Ivy Academy, Shangjing Academy, and the Fragrance Academy, as well as the Pink Rose Group led by the Prince of Tianluo. Although everyone looked panic-stricken, they were still calm and didn't scatter. They only rushed forward together with the companions that they believed in. Yi Kong led everyone to escape to the large-sized teleportation circle. Seeing that the demon army had not caught up to them, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He waved his hand to signal everyone to leave as soon as possible. The hundreds of students were slightly panicked and in a mess. Under the protection of Yi Kong and the others, they were all teleported away safely. Let's go too, immediately. Yi Kong knew that if they did not leave, the old cunning fox would be in even more danger. Yu Bing looked at the champion's arena in the distance and pulled Yu and Inan to quickly teleport away. However, when the teleportation light flashed, she was shocked to find that she had teleported to the wrong destination. What appeared in front of her was a huge valley. In front of them, countless demons were densely packed, waiting for the students to teleport over. The first batch of students who were teleported over had already summoned their beasts and started fighting with the demons at the outermost layer. Oh no, we've fallen into a trap. Yu reacted. Sister Inan, don't be afraid. Although brother is not here, I will protect you. I promised brother that I would face adversity with determination. I will definitely defeat the enemies and save everyone. Yu Bing's eyes shone with determination. She immediately summoned her grimoire and summoned 200-years-old Trant defenders almost instantly. Her small body leaped onto the shoulder of one of the 100-years-old Trant defenders and jumped into the crowd of demons with it. Under her control, hundreds of tree thorns protruded from the ground and skewered all the demons around the Trant defenders. Different from usual, these tree thorns all carried a deadly poison. Even if the demons only grazed one side of their skin, they would immediately die from the poison and fall to the ground. The 200-years-old Trant defenders raised their huge tree arms and, like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves, madly whipped the surviving demons around them. For a moment, the demons were in chaos. Yu and Inan looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. It seemed that after Yu Bing had gone through the 12 Zodiac Temples training, she had really grown up. Her fighting power and fighting spirit had increased to an unbelievable level. Inan nodded and confirmed Yu Bing's bravery. At the same time, she summoned her grimoire, unwilling to be outdone. She also wanted to participate in the battle. As for the non-combatant Yu, she quickly summoned her beasts to support Yu Bing and Inan. Compared to Inan, Huitai Lang was even faster. He had been staring at the battlefield the whole time. When the strong demons in the crowd were preparing to launch a sneak attack on Yu Bing, the loyal Huitai Lang finally had the chance to show off. Without any sound, without any roar or threat, Huitai Lang hid among the countless beasts and closed in like a shadow. This was one of the tactics that he had learned from his master, Yu Yang. Huitai Lang didn't know why, but he knew that this was the best way for his master to attack. After observing for a long time, he finally memorized it. Using the chaotic battle environment, he quietly closed in until he was at the best attacking distance. Only then did Huitai Lang jump high up in the air and bite the enemy's throat before they could react. At the same time, the demonic aura and black hellfire on his body exploded crazily. Chapter 254. Yu Yang used his Lich Ring to keep the corpses of Lu He and the Muscular Man. In the end, he didn't even let the plum leopard's corpse go. Princess Sisai was a little curious about his actions. She knew that Yu Yang used corpses to feed his beasts. She thought that this brat was unscrupulous and would make use of any useful resources. She didn't think that the thorny flower demoness was actually raised from the corpses of living people and warriors. As for the mysterious beauty Wu Xia, with her incomparable intelligence, she might have guessed it, but she didn't say anything and helped him keep this secret. If Yu Yang summoned the thorny flower demoness, then Princess Sisai would be surprised to find that the gold-ranked thorny flower demoness had already leveled up to diamond-ranked. This kind of leveling speed, other than plant-type beasts, could not be compared to any other beasts. Furthermore, even if there were conditions, diamond-ranked was not a level that could be leveled up by normal beasts. Of course, if she asked Yu Yang, then he would definitely lie and say that the thorny flower demoness leveled up in the 12 zodiac temples. The current thorny flower demoness was no longer a young lowly. Instead, she looked like a 15 or 16-year-old girl. After her third evolution, she would transform into the strongest plant-type beast, the golden crown thorny flower queen. She would become a beast that was above holy beast. The current thorny flower demoness had grown in the 12 zodiac temples and possessed a certain level of intelligence. Not long after, the golden crown thorny flower queen that massacred the entire demon army and the 2 blood prison demon kings will be successfully replicated by Yu Yang and reappear in this world. Furthermore, the golden crown thorny flower queen that Yu Yang cultivated would be even stronger. This was because the corpses that he used to cultivate the thorny flower included many innate rankers' corpses. Most importantly, Yu Yang himself didn't know about the ancient runes and the secret leveling up of his own blood. Which direction should we go? City Mistress Fallen Flowers realized that after reaching a huge flight of stairs in the ancient passage, there was actually a crossroad. The smell of blood on the left is the thickest. The smell of the Eastern Goblin tribe is on the right, and the smell of humans is in front of us. I can't sense anything. You decide, which direction should we go? Although Princess Sisai's sixth sense was very sharp, the passageways ahead were strange, making it hard for her to identify them. Let's use a coin to decide. Yu Yang took out a gold coin. The 4 girls were speechless. Yu Yang smiled. He was just teasing them. After he unsealed his innate realm, his senses were greatly enhanced, and he could easily see through the enemy's tricks. The smell of blood was enough. They could also send people to check the smell of the Eastern Goblin tribe. On the contrary, the smell of humans was something that they could never conceal or eliminate. The Eastern Goblin tribe brought the captives to the ancient passage in front of them. Moreover, they wouldn't be there for too long. After chasing for about 10,000 meters, Yu Yang and the 4 girls realized that there were bloodstains on the ground. After chasing for a few more kilometers, Dahei, the giant bear who had brought Yin Pejun and Feng Qisha to leave earlier, was lying dead on the ground. He had also returned to his giant bear form, which was as big as a small mountain. However, it was obvious that Dahei, who had returned to his giant bear form, was also killed by a single palm strike. Seeing such a terrifying palm strike, the 4 girls' expressions turned serious. A ranker who could kill Dahei with 1 palm strike was not a human. So who could it be? It was very possible that it was a ranker from the Soaring Dragon Continent who was an innate like Lu Ha and the Curly Sideburns man. Their goal was to sow discord and cause the Soaring Dragon Continent's innate rankers to fight to the death with the Eastern Goblin tribe. That was why they came up with such a huge plot. Let's go back. The Eastern Goblin tribe would definitely use their fastest speed to escape from the traitor's pursuit. I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up. Secondly, we would only have hope if we return alive, because the traitor really wants to kill us and frame the Eastern Goblin tribe. We are in danger now. We should leave as soon as possible before the enemy discovers us. Wu Xia suddenly suggested. Yang, I also think that we should change our plan. Previously, we were chasing after the Eastern Goblin tribe. Although the Eastern Goblin tribe is strong, they won't kill people easily. They are not a deadly enemy. Now, I suspect that the traitor from the Soaring Dragon Continent and the Eastern Goblin tribe are working together to facilitate this plot. Let's return to a safe place first and wait for Jizun, Night Empress and Elder Nangong to return from the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower. That would be the best solution. If there was only the Eastern Goblin tribe, I wouldn't mind chasing them until I snatch back the captives. But now, it seems that we should protect ourselves first. Sickly Beauty also advised Yu Yang to reconsider. Because of the new changes, it was time to change their original plan. Sister Fallen Flowers, what do you think? Princess Sisai wanted to get her father back the most, but she did not lose her rationality. Yeah, I'll tell you my opinion. At the moment, we haven't found any human warriors' corpses, so the captives should not be in danger. The Eastern Goblin tribe's warriors who stayed behind were all their warriors. We didn't see any human warriors being harmed. In this situation, the Eastern Goblin tribe is still protecting the hostages, which proves that they don't have the intention to harm the hostages. City Mistress Fallen Flowers also decided to temporarily give up on the chase. Of course, it was important to get her family back, but they must not chase into the enemy's ambush. That would be a tragedy. What do you think? Princess Sisai still wanted to wait for Yu Yang's decision. If this brat decided to chase until the end, then she could only follow him, because retreating and continuing to chase would put her in a difficult position. Yu Yang made a shushing gesture, indicating that there was something strange in front of them. The four girls immediately tensed up because they couldn't hear a single sound. Could it be that the enemy had already stealthily approached them? Yu Yang didn't say anything. He only brought the four girls back to the crossroad and entered the passage with the thickest smell of blood. He hid in a stone room at the side and waited quietly. After another 2 minutes, two figures flew out of the ancient passage that Yu Yang and the four girls had just exited from. They split into two different directions on the crossroads and escaped. One of the figures flew straight towards the passage where Yu Yang and the four girls were hiding. The shadow first swept past, then quickly flashed back, plunging into the side passage. When the figure rushed into the stone room, he was shocked to find that Yu Yang and the four girls were also here. Yu Yang and the four girls were also extremely shocked, because the figure in front of them that was covered in blood was actually the arrogant Flying Tiger Ambassador from before. The current Flying Tiger Ambassador was even more embarrassed than a thief who had been chased for 9 streets. He was panting heavily and was still in a state of shock. What actually happened? Princess Sisai couldn't understand. How could the powerful Eastern Goblin tribe become like stray dogs? Shoo! The Flying Tiger Ambassador signaled her to be quiet. He didn't seem to be used to being embarrassed in front of juniors like Yu Yang and Princess Sisai, but the truth forced him to face it. His face was slightly embarrassed. In the end, the Flying Tiger Ambassador still told them the truth. There were almost 10 innate rankers in your soaring dragon continent. They had secretly colluded with our Eastern Goblin tribe spies and attacked us when our team was returning. In order to protect our team and retreat safely, we stayed behind to stop them. In the end, more and more enemies appeared. Golden Eyes and I were forced to destroy the ancient teleportation circle and just escaped. Why are you guys here? Did you guys really chase us? What's the use of chasing us with just a few human kids? Even if we return the captives to you, you guys won't be able to bring them out of this ancient passage. Yu Yang smiled. Flying Tiger Ambassador, you should worry about yourself first. The Flying Tiger Ambassador was stunned. He then laughed coldly. Don't tell me that you guys still want to do something to me? Even if I'm heavily injured, I can still defeat you guys with one hand. Yu Yang shook his head. No, we don't want to do anything to you. But I believe that our friends from the Eastern Goblin tribe outside the stone room wouldn't have the same thoughts as us. Please come in. I don't know if you guys have the hobby of eavesdropping, but it's not very polite to do so. Interesting human kid. Sky Dragon had told me before that a scary kid appeared in the soaring dragon continent. He hated him a lot. I think he was talking about you. Outside the stone room, a jade-green double-headed snake with a body thicker than a bucket slithered in without a sound. On the left side of the snake's head, there was a contract pattern similar to that of a beast's forehead, but the other side didn't have it. This was the only difference between the double-headed snake's body. Not only could the double-headed snake speak, it could also transform into a human. In the thick jade-green smoke, the double-headed snake transformed into a gloomy-looking young man. The jade-green snake skin on his body transformed into a jade-green snake scale armor. Below his waist, he didn't have a pair of legs like a human. Instead, He had a long snake body and a snake head. Yu Yang had seen all kinds of beasts. He had seen beasts that had transformed into armors and fused into weird shapes. However, he had never seen a beast that had fused with its master's flesh and blood. Yu Yang looked at this fellow and shouted towards the outside of the stone room. Don't think that you can hide from other people's eyes just because you're black. The young man that was formed by the double-headed snake laughed out loud. He also mocked Yu Yang. Old tortoise, I told you that you can't hide from me. Outside, a deep male voice rang out. I'm not trying to hide. I'm just crawling slowly. As he spoke, a giant tortoise that was crawling as fast as lightning rushed into the stone room. It had a tortoise's back that was like a small mountain. The head in front of it was a terrifying snake head with sharp fangs. Its 4 claws were like a lion's, and its long tail was like a burning whip. This giant tortoise rolled on the ground. Yu Yang thought that he would see a tortoise that couldn't get up again struggling. He didn't expect that this giant tortoise's body would ignite with raging flames. In the end, it turned into a tall man wearing black heavy armor. He had jet black skin, shoulder-length hair, 10 black fingernails, and a flame-like belt around his waist. This black-armored man was 3 meters tall. His body was huge, but he walked as light as a feather. He walked with a peculiar gait, as if he was floating in the air. It was also like a person walking on the tip of his toes on water. In short, there was an indescribable strangeness. Without waiting for Yu Yang to open his mouth to ask, the black-armored man introduced himself. I'm not a dragon tortoise yet. I'm a serpent fire-tailed tortoise. If I kill you all and completely absorb your energy, I should be able to evolve into a dragon tortoise. Especially the flying tiger's energy, it's a great supplement for me. Chapter 255. So you guys know each other. Since that's the case, you guys can continue your reunion. We still have things to do, so we won't disturb you anymore. Yu Yang prepared to leave. If you crawl under my crotch, I'll let you live. The serpent fire-tailed tortoise who had transformed into a black armored man laughed out loud. The beauties have to stay. The twin-headed serpent who had transformed into a green snake scale armor added. Yu Yang didn't say anything. However, his action of taking out his Hui Jin magic blade showed that he was going to kill his enemies. If there was no need, Yu Yang didn't want to make too many enemies. It would be best if these 2 Eastern Goblin tribe members were interested in the Flying Tiger Ambassador. If they were to fight to the death, he would be able to reap the benefits. However, his thoughts weren't because he was cowardly. It was a test. The enemy's reaction would decide whether Yu Yang would attack or not. Since the enemy wanted to fight, he wouldn't be afraid of trouble. He would just kill them. Wait a minute. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia suddenly said. You don't have to fight all of them. We'll take care of these 2. Can you guys? Yu Yang was shocked. These 2 Easter Goblin tribe members definitely had innate strength. Could they fight? Princess Sisai waved the giant sword in her hands. If we don't fight, why will we follow us? You're in charge of guarding the formation. Watch us kill this twin-headed serpent and this tortoise. When the 2 Eastern Goblin tribe members heard this, they laughed unscrupulously. They didn't even put Princess Sisai and the others in their eyes. In their eyes, Princess Sisai and the others weren't even innates. Furthermore, they were girls. Hence, they didn't care at all. The Flying Tiger Ambassador remained silent and quickly healed his wounds. He seemed to have other plans. Yu Yang secretly paid attention to this guy. He wouldn't believe the Flying Tiger Ambassador. Of course, the Flying Tiger Ambassador wouldn't believe Yu Yang either. However, Yu Yang and the Flying Tiger Ambassador's common enemy were the 2 people in front of them. All 3 of them occupied one side each, forming a triangle. If they wanted to break this triangle, one of them must fall. Princess Sisai raised her giant sword and shouted. His aura erupted. It was as strong as a hurricane. This was the first time she had unleashed her full power in front of Yu Yang, including the strength that she had been concealing. Brilliant rays of light shot out from her body, making her look like a goddess of war. Light wheels revolved around her sword. Under her feet, arms, and back, there were also sword rays shooting toward the ground and the void. Even from a dozen meters away, The ground of the stone chamber was still cut by the sword Qi, leaving many sword marks. When the sword light on his body was at its brightest, the roar of a ferocious tiger that shook the mountains and rivers rang out. Roar! The image of a huge white tiger appeared above Princess Sisai's head. In an instant, it disappeared into Princess Sisai's body. Following that, Princess Sisai's aura erupted for the second time. This time, it was 10 times stronger than the hurricane-like aura from before. The entire impenetrable stone chamber shook when the flying tiger ambassador saw the image of the white tiger that disappeared in a flash. His expression changed, as if he had seen a terrifying nemesis. As for the man in the green snake-scale armor and the man in the black heavy armor, transformed from the serpent fire-tailed tortoise, their eyes widened. They never thought that Princess Sisai, who looked like a level 6 elder, would be so strong when she unleashed her full power. They had heard that the human warriors in the soaring dragon continent were good at concealing their strength, but they never thought that they could hide it so well that they couldn't even see it in normal times. If it wasn't for the fact that her strength had not surpassed an 8, the two of them would have considered to give up on being enemies with her. The strength of the beast in her body made them fearful. This was because that beast looked like a white tiger. It was one of the strongest 4 saint beasts in the legends, the Western white tiger. Of course, that beast only looked like one of the 4 saint beasts. It shouldn't be the real white tiger. If the real white tiger appeared here, even if it faced 100 Eastern Goblin tribesmen, it could still tear them into pieces. I'll fight with her. The man in the black heavy armor, transformed from the serpent fire-tailed tortoise, stepped forward. Be careful, this girl is a little weird. The beast in her body should be a real white tiger, but it should be a young white tiger. I can feel a faint pressure coming from her body. The man in the green snake-scale armor quickly reminded his partner. You should worry about yourself. Sickly Beauty smiled slightly. Her body didn't emit a biting cold aura. On the contrary, it was extremely gentle and beautiful. Countless colorful lights flowed into her body. It was as beautiful as a rainbow. When countless colorful lights were summoned, they entered her body one after another, transforming into a sparkling and translucent crystal battle armor. If Princess Sisai's white tiger was the strongest attacking beast, then Sickly Beauty's a flawless crystal battle armor would be the strongest defensive beast. Yu Yang had once fought against the Sickly Beauty who had disguised herself as the Prince of Tianluo. Even after using all of his methods, he was still unable to break through her crystal shield and crystal armor. Only by using his innate invisible sword Qi and carving a runic circle on the surface of the shield could he break through her extremely strong defense. Before this, Yu Yang didn't have enough confidence in Princess Sisai. He thought that Sickly Beauty was the strongest among them. He didn't expect that after Princess Sisai's real strength, she was not much weaker than Sickly Beauty. What made Yu Yang feel the most strange was that he felt a very familiar feeling from Princess Sisai's body. It seemed that it could faintly resonate with his own soul. At first, Yu Yang didn't understand, but when City Mistress Fallen Flowers and the mysterious beauty Wu Xia began to summon, he immediately understood. Ancient runes in Wu Xia, Princess Sisai, and City Mistress Fallen Flowers' body. There was an ancient runic circle that resonated with him. How did they obtain the ancient runes? Could it be that time at the Cloud Peak Lake? At that time, when he activated the ancient runic circle, only City Mistress Fallen Flowers was by his side. Maybe Princess Sisai and Wu Xia were also there, so they also obtained the power of the ancient runes. Compared to Wu Xia and Princess Sisai, Sickly Beauty's silver runes, who had been studying the ancient runes for a long time and had affected her body, had the weakest resonance with the ancient runes in Yu Yang's body. Originally, Yu Yang thought that Sickly Beauty's resonance with him would be the strongest, but he didn't expect her to be the weakest. The one with the strongest resonance was the mysterious beauty Wu Xia, who was continuously increasing her power and summoning. She didn't release her aura like Princess Sisai, nor was she reserved like Sickly Beauty. She even had a hint of mystery. She summoned her grimoire and held the ancient book in one hand. She mumbled as if she was reciting a poem. The colorful light on her body transformed into ancient runes one after another. Although the ancient runes would disappear in a few seconds, they flew across her body like fireflies. However, outside the shield, the temperature dropped rapidly, as if there was a cold current attacking. The entire stone room's floor, walls, and even the ceiling gradually froze. These little beauties are thorny roses. We've kicked an iron plate. After seeing Sickly Beauty's crystal armor and City Mistress Fallen Flowers' aurora, the twin-headed snake who had transformed into a green-armored man couldn't help but shout. They're not innates, but I feel a strong sense of danger from them. Away, slow down. I need to call for help. Don't fail miserably in an easy task. Otherwise, we'll lose face. You guys actually wet your pants in front of a few human girls. What a joke. The flying tiger ambassador sneered. However, he was also secretly vigilant. Fortunately, he didn't need these girls now. Otherwise, he would also have a headache. The serpent fire-tailed turtle, who had transformed into a heavy-armored man, was indifferent to the flying tiger ambassador's mockery. He said sarcastically, "Smart people don't do stupid things. Flying tiger, don't think that your retarded provocation will work. Bai Lin, release the green snake to lure them. I'll hold them back first. I suddenly have a feeling that these few human girls are more valuable than the idiot flying tiger. If we can capture them and bring them back to the Monster King, I believe that the Monster King will be very happy." The twin-headed snake man, called by Lin, summoned a cloud of green fog and transformed it into the shadow of a green snake. He threw it into the air. The shadow of the green snake flashed and disappeared in a flash. At the moment when it disappeared, a white shadow suddenly shot out from City Mistress Fallen Flowers' feet at a speed that was hundreds or thousands of times faster than lightning. It streaked across the void and chased to the entrance of the stone room. It pounced on the green snake that had almost disappeared and bit it on the ground. It was City Mistress Fallen Flowers' three-tailed snow fox. Its close combat ability wasn't strong. It couldn't be compared to Hui Tai Lang, which was an unkillable cockroach. However, in terms of killing snake-type beasts, even 100 Hui Tai Lang wouldn't be a match for it. It could be said that it was the natural nemesis of snake-type beasts. As long as it was bitten by its sharp teeth, no matter what kind of snake-type beast it would definitely die. The green snake twisted its body in pain. It wanted to coil around the three-tailed snow fox's body and strangle this deadly opponent. However, the three-tailed snow fox was extremely agile. Its speed was faster than lightning. The green snake couldn't even touch its body. In the blink of an eye, the green snake died under the three-tailed snow fox's mouth. The twin-headed snake man, called by Lin, was extremely angry. He raised his green hand, and a dark green liquid gushed out from his palm. The smell was so bad that it made people dizzy and nauseous. He then shot the liquid towards the three-tailed snow fox. The three-tailed snow fox dodged it nimbly. The liquid splashed on the ground and corroded the stone surface. White smoke rose from it. Aurora, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, raised her hand. Although she wasn't as good at close combat as Princess Sisai, the terrifying power of the Aurora condensed in her hand was definitely a nightmare for her enemies. Spirit Tortoise Shield. Bai Lin, get behind me. The black-armored man called Hua Wei didn't have a grimoire. However, he was also from the Eastern Goblin tribe. He was better at summoning than the Flying Tiger Ambassador and the others. He took out a black summoning crystal and summoned a huge tortoise. The tortoise turned into a thick shield in his hand. He was ready to take the Aurora of City Mistress Fallen Flowers by force. At the same time, he signaled his companions to hide behind him. Although City Mistress Fallen Flowers wasn't an innate rancor, this kind of Aurora was definitely not easy to take. Especially the runic circle that flashed in City Mistress Fallen Flowers' palm. Before condensing the Aurora, he was very vigilant. It's too late. Princess Sisai was like a ferocious tiger. She raised her giant sword and slashed it down with a thunderous force. Her target was the twin-headed snake man, called by Lin. Flowing light, snake shadow. The twin-headed snake man didn't take the attack head-on. His body turned into a phantom and slid towards his companions. Then, something shocking happened. As soon as he moved, he was surrounded by the girls. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia appeared behind his head in a flash. She had lightning in one hand and ice in the other. The energy in either of her hands wasn't any weaker than the aurora. She had cleverly used City Mistress Fallen Flowers' aurora and Princess Sisai's aura as a cover. She had condensed her strongest battle power and was waiting for a good opportunity. As soon as the twin-headed snake man moved, she immediately attacked. Her hands hit the twin-headed snake man's left and right ears. Compared to the time when she fought the Marquis of Zijin, her strength today was completely different. Before her hands attacked, the twin-headed snake man had a horrified look on his face. Originally, he could have used his super strong battle power to dodge or take the attack head-on. However, a little Lamia lowly had appeared in front of him, making him completely miserable. Under the effects of the binding inherent skill, he would become a human target that wouldn't move at all within 3 seconds. In front of him, there was the little Lamia lowly waving her dual icicle blades. Behind him, there was a thunder palm on his left and a frost finger on his right. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia was like a goddess of death who had descended to the world. In the sky above his head, there was also the Princess Sisai, Rouge Tigress's giant sword that slashed down heavily. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.